Hello guys and welcome to the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 qualifiers. We have 24 spots up for grabs that players can qualify to the first major event of the Trackmania World Tour. I'm Lucas Turbo and I'm joined in by SRK. Hello.
Hello.
So I hope you're doing good today.
Yeah, doing good. It's getting pretty sunny here. Lately, last couple of days has been pretty nice weather here. After I was speaking with some people from France as well, they said that it's pretty rainy there, so here's pretty sunny. Hopefully it was going to be pretty sunny also at the offline stage. But yeah, today we're going to have the very first Trackmania World Tour major starting off. So it's now we have the online stage. So basically we're going to see who will be the best players who will move on to the offline stage in Vilnius, Lithuania afterwards.
Yeah, and we already have 8 players who have been invited or have qualified throughout the Comic-Con Baltics or the BTL Spring 2024. We have ours, Bits, Kuzi, and Zyron who have qualified to the event, where Bits is replacing Critty, who will be joining us in the casting booth. And then there's Elcon, who has won the Comic-Con 2023 Baltics. He was the winner. A nice event that SRK and me were casting alongside in Vilnius, which will the event this time also be happening in. And then 3 invited players by the name of Granadi, Massa, and Tween. So those 8 players already set to the tournament.
Yep, so it will be interesting how this will go, especially now with the major status. The level is looking way more stacked every year. First year we had, I remember Mime, we had like a bunch of Polish players mainly, some local ones. Last year we had a bunch of people from Czechia, Netherlands coming in. We had Spam Stufts as well, some people from England. I remember Wizzy was coming in. Evan was making also appearance last year, plus with some decent Baltic players. Now this year, also additional major status. There's so many solid also French players, German players now are in the mix, Czech players as well. Poland, I think, has a bit less representation than last time, but we'll have to see how everything will look like, because there's a bunch of people also signed up for the event, for this online qualifier. Also, people who don't make it through today will still be rewarded with Trackmania World Tour points either way. So, seeing the way how the monthly cup went, I believe this might be an event where people can get some, I would say, a bit easier World Tour points for the World Cup standings afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, 49th to 64th are still getting 5 points. So that is still something to look out for. And eventually can also be very decisive if you cannot make it to some events. This could still be valid for your whole standing. But I mean, just looking onto the server, we're going to have the time attack seeding happening very soon. But if I just press tab, I see Epos and Panda in the top 2. Like, those players are no strangers to us, and those are players who can also face someone out of the victory. So we have quite the level in this competition, I would say. And of course, there's also 2 other servers that we are not watching right now. But maybe we should go through the formats, because I think the time attack seeding is a bit different compared to other events.
Yeah, so basically the way how the seeding will work, we're gonna play every single map. It's gonna be, there's 5 maps in total in this map pack. These are not the usual World Tour maps. These are custom made maps for this specific event. But these maps are, since this event has the major status, these maps are way more difficult than the ones that were present in the April event. So we're gonna do a time attack on every single map. There's gonna be sum of skill points. So skill points are the same points giving out just like on campaign. And basically some of those points are going to be ranked for the rating, and from that there's going to be a bracket made. And today we're going to kickstart the bracket phase with the double elimination. I believe we will have like some of the top positions already sorted out, who will already make it. So if you play good today, you should be fine already for the offline stage. If not, then you're going to have a bit of a last chance tomorrow. But yeah, it's going to be basic, good old Cup classic game modes. Every single map randomly rotated, 100 points as the points limit, 120 for the qualification matches, and that should be pretty simplistic. Every single match is going to have 4 players each. Some might have 3, especially in the lower side in the early rounds, but most of the rest will have the good old classic 1v1v1 structure. Pretty straightforward, as we see with most of the homologated events within the World Tour circuit.
Yeah, I mean, those homologated events are all like going in the same range, not when it comes to the maps, but definitely through the formats. So that is something to look out for. But also seeing 7 minutes per map is a very cool change, I would say, because then we see all the maps and having it being distributed as the official campaign also being ranked in. So if you are first, you get 40,000 points and so on and so forth. This is just way better because you can have one bad map in there as well, or maybe just one DNF and you're not completely out of this competition, right?
Yep.
I think that is much better.
Yep.
But
yeah, soon we'll be starting. I already see a bunch of players joining in. Kind of crazy to see some of the names here who are gonna be preparing for the events. Basically at the end of the month. Of course, this is still like the part 1 of the events. So still it's rewarded in the same way as it would be at the offline phase, of course. But yeah, seeing some of the names, some of the especially French players as well, trying to challenge themselves. I saw. Hopefully, this event is gonna be an event that helps just give a chance to put themselves on the map for some a bit unknown players. Remember, for example, last year, Auris, for example, had a really great showcase event for himself. Where every single international event he kind of choked. I mean, he did choke a bit at the end, but still, he got top 4 at the event. Same with Bits as well with the top 6 in terms of international events. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see some new people popping off this time around, as we see usually in these kind of LAN events.
Yeah, but I mean, also 24 spots up for grabs. As we're starting with the first map, it is Melohi by Whiskey. A very, very RPG-ish map, I would say. We have a lot of jumps and just very hard sectors to clear here, where you can minimize airtime accordingly, but already the jump at the start is quite hard. But 24 spots up for grabs, and then there's, of course, also a break of 3 weeks where players can practice those respective maps. And I mean, in other events, we have also seen players are more hungry than others, and practice definitely pays its dividends. And right now, Panda has showed great practice throughout this map here already, as we can see him on first position together with Dwinjo. Paco is on 3rd place right now, but Panda with a great line going a bit lower there, and this already looks to be like a good round for him, as the OrgGP Numlofts player finds himself in the lead, and he will finish in first with a 51.671.
Yeah, 0.6 is pretty good.
Yes.
So basically, a very important thing with this map is that the first jump is super important, where you jump in the grass, because you have barely enough room to have enough speed before the grass part to get the upper gear, and if you don't get the gear, you lose like a second already in the start. That's just the biggest time saver there is on this map, and the rest of the map is mainly just line efficiency. There is one tight turn in the middle part of the map. Currently, if we follow on Puts the Topako, yeah, he basically went through that part, and that's super hard to get properly, efficiently, and the rest of the parts are just trying to get everything, try to lower your airtime, get sufficient lines, especially get the optimal skid mark widths, and that should be it. But yeah, those two crucial points, the very start, the ramp jump, and that U-turn in the middle are the 3 most crucial points in the map for the biggest time save.
Yeah, and you just have to control your car otherwise on the rest of the map. But I mean, let's just stick along with Paco, who gets a really good start. Also tries to cut a little bit there of the quarter pipe to minimize airtime accordingly, and he did it very well. Right now 700s ahead of Key. Also a nice nose slide there, just gathering him up so much more speed, but he had it so good in his PB that he lost a lot of speed there. Also, you can get grip there on the inside on this sector, which can reward you with much more speed and of course a better line throughout that one as well. So Paco does this one very nicely, already showing good consistency, finishing his second run here in a row by the looks of it. And this is not a bad one here by any means, as he will improve yet again with 51.77. So good consistency from the very young Hungarian player who almost qualified together with Lego to the World Championship in 2023.
Yeah, it was now that he picked up, went under Into the Breach as the representative org, but also important, some things to mention is there's 3 different qualification servers going on, so we're just watching one of them, and we see there's quite stacked times already happening during the seeding phase here, as we see Bing, Stufts, Mime, Wizzy, Panda, Coco, and Snow being currently the top 7 currently on this map. As it's mentioned previously, it uses the ladder point system for the seeding, so the higher they get, the more points you get. So in theory, you can absolutely ace one of the maps, and you should be quite highly placed for the upcoming bracket phase afterwards. But yeah, we'll see how it will go after in the later ones. Also, we have seen that some bunch of players are practicing offline. So a lot of the times I'm currently seeing are basically like new PBs for most of the players, at least in terms of offline
Oh, Panda.
times. So we'll have to see what kind of people do in practice.
Yeah, and I mean, already the players are on there, as Panda right now is on a very good time, is 0.1 ahead of Epos, who is first on the server right now, but Panda will certainly improve here. Yes, 51.58 is enough for a fifth position, no, a fourth position actually,
Yeah.
for him. But mine, wow, what a great time. I mean, a 364 time, which is also the new online world records. And also Stufz is on second place with that, with his 0.38. So players have practiced offline and of course now showing off their strategy. But on this map, like, it's very hard to just really push beyond because the map is very limited. You cannot airtime or like reduce the airtime more in this way. There's just a distinct line that you can aim for, but Panda on a good time again, as Paco right now is in the lead on this server, but Panda touches and he's out and has to go back to the start. 2 minutes left. Maybe we can take a look onto some of the players who are a bit further back.
Yeah, so we have on the server also a player called Zhou, who he is actually a Chinese player, but he currently lives in Germany, so I'm giving his a chance in the running. We also see there's players like Johan Klan, who has made,
Yeah.
who's actually, this is his third time playing at Comic-Con Baltics. He was at the very first time. He qualified last year as well and trying his best to qualify this year, currently at 11th place on the server. Of course, it's going to be pretty rough, considering there's 3 different servers and he's 11th here, so a bit on the edge. We also see some new faces here, together with the mix some bit other scene faces. We have Greitis and Kresmas, 2 Lithuanian players here. We don't usually see those 2 players playing in basically any events. Even in a couple of days, we don't see them. So pretty cool that they're already in a mix with players like Henkan, Johan, Speedself, Winch, Key, who have already
Agreed.
proved themselves in a bunch of international events already.
Yeah, it's really cool to say the least. And of course, like Gretis, I've seen in a couple of matches myself when I was casting him. So very cool to see his development as well right now on 10th position on this particular server. And also not too far behind the world record, only 1 second. So that is not too bad to say the least. As Panda is now in the lead on this server with a 0.415. He's on 3rd place ahead of Bings, who was playing a lot of competition. So Bings hungry to improve and just to continue his Trackmania journey. Had seen a lot of Cup of the Day events, but also played so many cups in the last couple of weeks.
Can I point out something crazy? That we have seen how many people play these maps offline is to a point. Top 3 have beaten the previous public world records.
Wow,
Top 4,
yeah, true.
apologies. Top 4 have beaten the previous public world record. So
yeah, it was
people are definitely cooking up some stuff behind the scenes. So.
Paco? Oh no, Paco was on a great time as well, but he failed the ending. Oh, that could have been a very, very good one, as he has had more speed. But yeah, true, the world record was indeed from Dwinjo. Also, when I did the preparation for the cast, he had a 0.458, but he's now in 5th place. And, well, that is just unlucky, but also 50 on the server. So he's probably like on a top 10 to 15-ish position.
But yeah, this is just a seeding phase right now. We're gonna play through 4 more maps. Through the whole event today, top 24 from the bracket stage will advance to the offline stage at the end of the May. So right now the players are playing for the seeding, getting familiar with the maps, and then afterwards, after this weekend, we're gonna see who will be the ones making it to the offline stage. It's gonna be like the top 32 as well. There is an important clause as well within the Trackmania Rotor and rule set, is that the pre-invited players, the 4 players from Baltic League, also includes the 4 international invites, will have to beat at least 1 player in the bracket stage who came from the online qualifier to be eligible for the Rotor points. So that's going to be an important clause for Rotor settings. So it's not like, oh, they instantly get invited and get like 25 points by default. So they actually have to beat some of the qualified players to earn the points reward.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it makes, of course, a lot of sense that they don't come in there like completely unprepared and just getting themselves to 25 points. Of course, they do the travel. They have to cope a lot of stress during that time, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But now we have a very interesting map from Kisla, which is so fast-paced due to the newly used surface with wood in this on this map, and also some transitions. This map is very hard as well. Like, it's so hard to predict your line and your turn, as we can right now see Paco playing, but losing a lot of speed, going over the inside there, and now is behind Panda, who extends his lead even further and still finds himself in the lead here on the server. So, I mean, very cool map, but definitely something different compared to the previous map.
Yeah, so this map is very, very snowball heavy. There's actually a thing where in woods, if you're fast enough, you get way higher acceleration than, let's say, if you enter the wood section with way lower speed. So your acceleration changes based on that. And so it's very important for every single wood section on the sections previously to get as much speed as you can prior to that. So over wood sections, you get the most amount of speed as soon as you touch the wood surface. On the very first section, though, you kind of course, want to enter as early as possible because you still have relatively low acceleration on wood. But especially in later parts, it's quite important to get as much momentum going as you enter the wood surface. It's just kind of one of the main tricks with this specific surface.
Yeah, that is for sure. And Hollow was about to improve, but then got himself some airtime. And I mean, also, this is the kind of story of this map. The transitions look easy, but if you bump or lose a bit of time, your line will be so off just for the next turn that is just coming up so quickly, and you will lose control. And eventually will be falling off of the map. It's a very interesting map, and Kisla, I mean, has been a mapper that has already, or like always, built some harder maps, I would say. And I think this one really suits his motto as well in this case. Let's take a look into the standings on the server. Panda in the lead, 49.402, which is also a new world record on this map. Then we have Hollow on second place with a 49.682. So maybe he might be a good POV to follow because he was on a good time, but was not able to improve that much there.
Yeah, I'm also going through some other servers. Currently, the fastest time is by Panda, who's beat. That's actually a crazy time, a 0.40 on this time. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see even way faster times than this. But yeah,
well.
all of top 7 in mid to high 47s already. In theory, I would say this is the easiest map in the set. This map pack as a whole is relatively difficult, especially if we compare it to the the monthly cup set 1 that was provided by Nadeo. And this is the easiest map in my opinion, because you just need to relatively just steer. However, the big difficulty comes from how efficient can you be with the new surfaces and the surface changes and optimizing the wood lines. So that's why we see 49s here. Actually, a fun fact on this map, it wasn't even expected that no one will go under 50 seconds. But since people have used these new wood mechanics, it's managed to go under that criteria. While yes, on homologation rules, it says the maps have to be from 50 to 70 seconds. In this situation, it is fine because that's what players managed to push and found the new lines in terms of efficiency. So that's a very unique situation in terms of rotor map pack as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And let's follow Epos, who's on a good time here as well, pushing the drift quite a bit. Currently, he's 800s away from Panda, but can definitely improve and set himself a good time here. And this could even be top 3 or something like that if he gets a good ending. 49.47, so really good ending from Epos there, going up to that 3rd position. So Epos with us, RePB also noting it down in the chat. So great job there from the player from the United Kingdom, so good job. But I mean, yeah, the wood surface, I mean, you just sometimes watch Kanadi stream on one campaign map, which completely exists only out of wood. Kanadi plays on that, and you're like, huh? How can he go that fast? So wood is really something that you have to create a feeling for it, especially when you enter and exit it. It can be quite tricky, as we have one turn here that Epos will go through here very soon, where it's just very hard to predict when to exit the turn and how to like really make it possible. Like here, this turn. It's very hard to just exit it accordingly, but he did it so well. Also, there's a turn at the start on this map, which is not that easy, but I think if you just practice this map on and on, it will get gradually easier, and that's why I can completely understand why you think that this is the easiest map out of the map pack.
Yeah, but it's not that hard, not that easy to do if you do it fast, especially when you try to push it for the top times, as we start to see that the top times are getting, let's just say the previous leaderboard just got absolutely destroyed. Like all of the times that were top times that were previously on here were completely beaten here in
Yeah.
this seeding session already. And looks like this is gonna be, we're gonna see some very close rounds here based on how things are looking like. But of course, time attack is one thing, rounds is another. And I feel like keeping the consistency and keeping the pace with the consistency and the specific map set with so many like small places where you can make minor mistakes, which can snowball into bigger ones, and especially with the wood surface, which is so snowball heavy in the first place, we're gonna see some interesting situations happening during the actual matches here.
Oh, also key improved here, but yeah, I agree. I mean, you just really have to thread the needle on this map where you really have a tight line on the wood, and you just have to commit to it, and then maybe even cut over the corner and just get more speed out of that one. So yeah, I think we're gonna see some mistakes on this map, but also like a good mixture between just maybe going not that risky in this one turn, maybe going a bit wider, sacrificing a bit of time, but eventually being a bit faster. So something like that. As Panda, 49.362, he was able to improve yet again, and just clocking in that first position, almost 0.1 faster than Jan, who was on second place. The German player looking very strong on here as well. Not on this server, but looking forward to seeing him. I mean, I think with that time, he will definitely already have like locked in a very good seeding position.
Yep, and then we're going on to the next map. This map is made by Karluki. It's like a very, very tight, I would say, mixed map in terms of each map usually has a bit of like one style dominance. But this one is like properly mixed. A bit of techie, bit more techie compared to other maps, I would say. But the start is a bit weird, and it looks a bit weird, and even it feels weird to play it, honestly, from my experience. But you want to get at least a bit of grip at the start, so you get enough speed, so you don't get a gear down, and then you enter for the rest of the map, which is a bit on the tech side. There is also a lot of new blocks are utilized here, so this is one of the bigger events, or the first bigger events, where a lot of the new block set is also used that came with the rally update. In these events, we're not gonna see snow cars or rally cars appearing here. But we're gonna see a lot of blocks from these updates being used, though. And I believe, there's gonna be some dirt blocks here used, and we'll have to see how players deal with this. Thankfully, it's not that much here, but we'll love to see some more new blocks utilized. Because personally, I really like the new dirt blocks that have been added with the latest update.
Yeah, there's some very cool combinations that you can utilize, as I'm currently following along with Panda, who drives the second place here on this map for now, as he's behind Key. But yeah, going back to the start, yeah, it's a very weird start because you kind of want to avoid dropping back into first gear, but also not go too far up on this kind of road ledge that you have here on the left, just as block number 2 is hitting. And then you need to like just hesitate with the steering and just get this turn across. It feels very weird, but the ending, it feels so speedy and just so nice. Very, very cool map. I think this is definitely one of my like top 3 favorite maps from this map pack, but I think every map from this one is very unique. Just wait for the risky ending on Vixa's map. I cannot wait to showing you this one. It's also such a unique take on just the map in general.
But yeah, let's see what the people managed to do here. So far, we haven't seen the public world record being beaten here, but it's pretty close. Stufts and Key, currently 1 and 2.
Yeah, Panda on a good time right now, actually, again. He's a bit further ahead of Key right now, or they're actually tied to the checkpoint, as Panda goes full auto speed. Has a good alignment over that sector as well, so let's see if he can improve or not. No, maybe he had to readjust a little bit too much, and I think he can improve, but I think this will not be the public world records.
Oh, but we'll see. I don't think I'll be honest, this map might be one of the hardest ones to set the public times because point 0.7 is really, really strong.
True.
Even 52s are really hard to get in the first place. Basically, to even get a 52, you need to get everything efficient and just like really, really small details just are the main thing that needs to add up to even go under 53. So not only need to be efficient lines, but also reduce travel distance, be efficient with skid marks, and be efficient also with brake
Yep.
tap timing, so you don't hold the button too long, even in that kind of level. With all these small things, basically need to all add up to even go under 53 on a map like this. Just and even not counting the regular efficient lines being taken. And yeah, this is not that. It's really really hard to go under 53. Also, in terms of the local players, in local I mean Baltic players, currently we haven't seen only Dvinho as the one that has made a bit of appearance in the top sevens. But we'll have to see. I think most of the ones who already qualified or came from the invites are already through. I saw that Kuzi Zirenauris had some decent times already, but they
Yep.
will be only playing at the end of the month. Of course, we'll have to see how their practice will also change because I think they're the ones with the biggest pressure. Because there we see basically bunch of TMGL 2023 World Cup players, a lot of solid players in general playing right now from the qualifier. So there's going to be a lot of pressure, I feel like, to also the Baltic invites uh, to at least outperform them when the time will come at the offline stage in a month.
Yeah, two worlds will collide there. That is for sure. But I do think that they will perform very well. I mean, we have already seen it at the Comic-Con Baltics 2023 how well they have played. So very cool to seeing this. And right now I'm following along Dwinjo, who's 0.1 ahead of his set time here on the server, but doesn't actually gets a good exit out of this one. So a lot of speed accumulated. It's only quarter of a second behind Panda, who's currently on second place, but Dwinjo misaligns drift here. But for me, this is probably one of the most, I would say, a map that I can refer the most to a common multi-star map. Because as you said, you can really push the turns a lot, but you cannot really push it to oblivion. So it's a very cool map. As Epos right now is in the lead with a 0.848. And let's see if he can improve in this run here, as he's 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the time. Nope, he will go back to the start, maybe practice this turn here, or maybe he's happy with that or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I would say Dvinho is currently the best performing Baltic player we have in this qualifier, definitely. But we'll have to see. Maybe I think he has one of the with the highest chances so far to go through this event, with the Lithuanians, Greitis and Christmas, with maybe potentially making it. But because this like this event is super stacked. Like I looked at the other games that are being played at Comic Con Baltics, and mainly it's just local players. But here is going to be mainly international, so
Yeah.
would be nice that we get at least some local representation at the event. That's the one of the reasons why the Baltic invites were done. So it's not like, oh, we do like a major event in Lithuania and then no one from the locals could even make it.
No, I don't
um
think so though. Like, I think some of them will definitely make it into there. I mean, we have seen this server for now, but I think on the other servers we have seen a couple of players already making it into the top 7, if I recall correctly. Definitely Dwinjo has made it, but other than that, we're gonna see also how they play in the bracket, right? Surely, surely,
yeah,
yes,
we'll
okay.
see, we'll see. Honestly, Dvinho has improved quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
I was watching him playing in EMC, which was the Eclipse Mixed Championship. He was not playing too shabby, actually. But yeah, in general, there are three different servers in general playing. So we are currently watching one of the servers. There's two more servers that are currently being played. So some of the times, only we sadly see right now top 7 in total. But basically, after the time attack end, we're gonna be able to see the full leaderboard. Also, if you're watching this live, you can do exclamation mark brackets, and you're going to be linked to the Trackmania.io page where you're going to be see the full entries of who are playing, and after the qualification ends or the seeding phase ends, you're going to be able to see the standings for the seeding phase and the matchups as well.
Yep. And then we're also gonna jump into the first set of matches. Obviously, as this is a 2-day qualifier, we have 2 days of Trackmania action followed along. And I think also on Wikipedia will be updated to see who will qualify to what event. But I think the general tournament bracket from the esports.trackmania.com is a bit better. And I think there's also another bracket that you refer to as well, which is the one from Trackmania.io. Alright, now we come to the map from Vixa that I was talking about. A very unique map, and let's follow along with Key, who currently is playing. And this ending is so cool to see. As you can see him going through those last turns, you have this dirt sector here, but now just wait for the ending. This ending is so unique. You have an ice light, and the risky is to get the dirt flick and just get more speed out of it. So you have to do an ice set beforehand and then get a dirt flick to just getting more speed into the ending. It's such a creative, risky ending here from Vixa, and in general, this map feels so cool and vivid as well, compared to the Kaluki map as well.
Yeah,
Very
most
cool
of the
map.
maps here are made with some kind of theme around them a bit. So this one is called the Baltic Flick, so that's why you do the ice dirt slide at the beginning, and then you have 2 ice slides here as well. One of the ice slides, you might notice there's a custom block used, which is the no grip block. This is basically prevents slide outs happening.
Yep.
So you need to do like the same kind of ice to dirt, and you have to do it with airtime. There's multiple ways based on your angle of the car and with the speed as well. You can get different kind of outcomes, and it's very important. Like the riskiness, as Turbo mentioned, comes from the angle the car gets at the transition point from ice to dirt. So that's going to be the main point, what most of the players will try to aim for. Or I feel like we're going to see a bunch of snipes happening when the rounds will start on this.
I think so as well, because I mean you can easily hit the right on the end, and the angle is just very important because it's just like a leap of faith. If you're locked in, you cannot really change anything. You have to go with it, and either you make it or you will not, right? Or you lose a lot of speed and all of that. As Hollow currently is in first position on the server here, 58.40.
That is a really strong time already, honestly.
Yeah, that is a very good time. Top 3 just behind Vinch and Whoop. So Hollow currently also the leader overall. So this looks to be like a good seeding position for him as well, if the positions are set as they are. But we still have 4 minutes left, and also a very hungry Panda, currently 23 seconds on the map, and could definitely be someone to beating Hollow's time.
There's also important mention is that currently we have in this event there's 6 out of the 6 players from the top 10 of the current World Tour standing are taking parts in this event. So this event will definitely start to impact the World Tour standings quite a bit. Also, the player Hollow is also relatively high in the standings. He's currently rated number 19 in the World Tour standing. So this might be definitely. I have seen some of the public times he has done together, him and Winch both. I think they can definitely show themselves properly. I feel like those are both of them are very, very solid players, but I feel like they haven't really proven themselves in terms of international scene. I feel like within the French scene they have proven themselves. But I hopefully, well, I really want to see both Hollow and Winch prove themselves through this event, so they're one of also the top players in the game as well.
Yeah, Hollow and Vinch have been improving a lot in the last couple of months. I mean, it's very great to seeing them so far up front and just playing at their best game. Also, someone like Epos already redeemed himself last year by playing together with Razi and qualifying to the World Championship. But also in the first monthly event, he did do quite well and reached the final. And now he's here to take his revenge. And I mean, there's 2,000 points up for grabs for first position in this major event, which is a lot. And then 1,200 for second, 800 for third, and 500 for fourth position. So there's a lot of points, and also monetary and cash value up for grabs for the players.
And additional prizes as well, as this event is brought by unique sponsors. One of them is Cognizant. We also have from last year. We have Dell joining us as well, with assisting as well with these events. And as well, we have a Secret Lab as well for joining for this year as well. So that's why we see them a bunch of around all sorts of the other. But the main partner for the Trackmania event is going to be Cognizant. I'll say this for now. When you're gonna get, if you're gonna see the events in person, you're gonna see some very cool stuff at the venue. And if you're not gonna be there, then hopefully through stream as well, you're gonna witness some really cool stuff happening. Also, in the meanwhile, Stufts with the .222. Wow.
Wow.
Even .3s are crazy, like really good. But suddenly Stufts popping off with the 222. That's yeah, that's really
fast.
good. Yeah.
I mean, Vinch has driven a .33, and he's already .05 ahead of third position, and then Stufts is an additional .1 ahead of second place. So that is just a great time. And in the track leaderboard ranking, that is a whole different story. Stufts is .15 ahead of Panda, who's on second place, who has overtaken a Hollow on the server. So the franchises are in first and second place. Hollow looked really good, but he will not be able to improve because we only have 40 seconds left. Let's see who's still on the track. Vinch is still playing, so maybe we could go for him for his last run and see what he can do, as he's 700 away of his former SAT PB. But he can come back. Oh, didn't get a good approach there, maybe a bit too wide, but he will still get it across and will improve by 11,000 of a second. Better than nothing, to say the least. Maybe he was getting one position out of that one, but we don't know for sure. But there you go. Panda wins it here on the server, but Stufts unstoppable on the leaderboard with a .222. So
that
nice time.
.2 is crazy, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, for context, if you get everything right on this map in terms of line-wise and execution, you can get around like .7. Like if you get everything right. So yeah, if I don't know where does he get the .5, honestly. So yeah, that's very crazy because I was like, basically, if you get everything in Trackmania, usually this is like in maps. If you get even the lines properly and the execution right, you're gonna be approximately around like .2 on average from world records. But on a map like this, I'm very confused. I want to check his replay afterwards. Like, I'm like, where do you gain that time though?
Maybe it's found a unique line or something like that, or
maybe
a different approach. Yeah.
Well, currently Stufts and Wizzy, both of the players from Wild, are playing on a different server. As mentioned, there's 3 different servers right now running. It's the same with some of the other players that we see on the top 7 leaderboard. We don't see them on this specific one because they're playing on the other one. Because we're currently spectating server 1 or server 0 in terms of the list. But yeah, definitely will have to keep an eye on him. Now we're gonna go on the map by Rockets. So this map is really tight everywhere. Like that's kind of the main gimmick of this map, is just like low-key precision.
Yeah.
In this part there is that weird how can I say, that pool in the middle. You actually get water wheels as soon as you enter that part. Even if you don't touch the water, you're like visually don't touch. Realistically, the car does touch it, so you can't drift throughout a turn. And there's a light bump in the middle, which can force a random skid mark separation, which causes a slide out. So you have to take the very specific line in that part to not get the skid mark separated, or else you slide out. So that's one thing that players do. So it might seem, oh, you could maybe take it a bit more inside, but in reality, you can't. The rest of the map is just trying to maintain the gears, because if you don't, like, it's especially at the very start, it's very easy to drop a gear, and especially in some of the middle parts of the maps, and as soon as you drop a gear on a map like this, you lose like a second. So I feel like in time attack, it's maybe not too bad, but in terms of like when the rounds actually start, I feel like that might bring in some problems for some players, even who can be potentially good in terms of time attack. Also, a very unique thing about this map, there's a lot of places where players can clip and accidentally get bounced off due to plastic or hit some sign. Like, this map has a lot of like these small places where you can clip, don't get some turns as efficiently, or clip in multiple places. So it's another thing on top of just the tightness of lines, is you need to keep an eye on to when the players will be playing the map.
Yeah, well explained there, SOK. And what I really want to point out is just the vibrant color of the plastic. The plastic just looks absolutely awesome on this map, but already the first turn, like, you start on plastic, it is not easy to get that one clean. Like, you need to practice that for a little bit, and if you don't 100% focus on when the car actually starts, you can lose a lot of time by just steering too late or too early. But then also the turn with the water that you described very well, it is not very easy to get because you can lose a lot of time and just slide out. Eventually, as we currently following along a Panda, who is looking on a good time, he's 0.1 behind his former set PB. And now he also overjumps that cruise control block there. So maybe he can get some time in the end. Only 37 thousandths away. Oh, and he pushes so much. You can see it there. He really wants to get that PB, but it will not be enough because he hit the finish arch. But still a nice time from him. And he still remains in first position.
Yeah, but Paco as well, showing himself pretty solidly as well, doing this qualifier as well. 0.7 currently leading in the time attack phase. Stift is very close. Mime currently does have the public world record, but it's like you can't trust the public world records here anymore.
Yes.
Like every single map, the leaderboard has been basically destroyed by the times that players set. Like you can see, like half of the players have been practicing offline, and you can really see that. And this is just the seeding phase. Like there's gonna be the. I can imagine, since there's 24 players, for some it's gonna be relatively easy to go through today. But I feel like for some, so I feel like they're a bit holding them back themselves a bit today. Yes, they might be playing against some decent players, but I feel like we're gonna still see some hidden lines being kept still the offline stage as well.
I think so as well, because I mean, you know, it will not be a problem for someone like Mime to just give one precise example to not, like, he will make it into the top 24. It would be like a lot of things have to go wrong for him to not making it. But yeah, they can try out stuff, they can take it a bit easier, and maybe just do not play out their ace of spades just yet, and just wait a little bit up until they are at the offline event, which will be taking place in 3 weeks in Vilnius at the Comic-Con. That's why the event is named like that as well, of course. And I do really look forward to this, because not only will SOK and me be joining the event, but also Critty and Geek. That will be a lot of fun to be casting this event alongside with them.
Yep. So we're gonna have this is gonna be the casting team we're gonna have for the offline stage as well. So it's gonna be pretty cool to meet some of the casters once again as well. Some of the players gonna be the first time seeing them in person as well. So I'm quite looking forward. This is kind of usually one of the coolest things of these in-person events. You get to meet a lot of the faces and people from the Trackmania scene. It's usually one of the things why LAN events make it, in my opinion, like way more cooler than some online cups, for example.
Definitely.
Like the vibe is then completely different than like playing, let's just say, you know, so either a monthly cup or even a team event or something like that.
Even though it can sometimes be a pain to getting there, right? But
well, it happens, you know. It happens like that. But yeah, in the meanwhile, we have Binks currently getting the new fastest time currently on the seeding in this map. As the points are giving out for each map, just like as campaign leaderboards, okay, never mind. Stufts comes in, says hello.
Wow, Stuft is looking really good today, especially in the last 2 maps. He has been really asserted dominance there and finds himself in first position yet again. Let's see if this will hold. Is someone else here on the server on a run? Top 3 knots, 4th and 5th as well. Apos might be on an improvement. Let's go along with him, as he's 11 thousandths away, but didn't really play too much of a role here on this map, as he's on P6 right now. Oh, gets a good turn, but goes a bit too inside there and hits the water. So he's out. Key just driving backwards. Speed Self might be playing maybe on improvements, but he's 1300s away from his PB, so he will not improve here by the looks of it. But still a good 8th position for him. Will also serve him with a good seeding eventually.
Yeah, now we're gonna see if you want to keep an eye on see the results for yourself. You can do exclamation mark bracket if you're watching it live in the chats, and you're gonna be able to see the full ranking from the all of the servers as it's wrapping up right now. So now all the players now play through all of the 5 maps with 7 minutes each. Now let's just say the points are gonna be given to them, and now the seeding is gonna be given out. Now they're gonna be placed into the brackets. So you want to see the matchups, the final seeding placements. Definitely check out the brackets to see what is up, who is in which place, and we're gonna be slowly starting with the very first matches with that as well.
Yeah, I do really look forward to this. So there were 55 players who were trying to
we have the standings.
But let's see.
So Stufts has won or gotten the #1 seed in the qualifier, in the seeding phase. Panda second, Mime third, Bosbas fourth. Let's see who's on the, let's just say, on the edge, because 24 players go through. So right now we have Vanity in 24th and Greatis in 25. So that's kind of the edge point usually. But of course, that's just time attack. A bit unfortunate, just the 3 Lithuanians are 25th, 27th, and 29th. So currently only one Baltic player is in the top side, which is Dvinho, currently at the place number 15. But the rest are international players. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. But this is just the seeding phase. Now the real bracket will start. We're gonna go with a double elimination bracket, so one of the players can get once, not gets top 2 once, and they still have a chance. But if you play really good, you can go through to the main events, or in the offline stage you can qualify already today. So, but you need to really play then good. And these matchups, I feel like we're gonna get some interesting matchups probably in round 2, I would say, of uppers already, where we might see some solid players facing off at each other like very early on in the event already.
I think that's a very cool storyline here to follow. If the top 24 from the time attack seeding will also be the players who will be eventually making it to the offline finals. But guys, more after a 10-minute break. We're gonna be back with the first set of matches, and I cannot wait to casting them. All right, and we are back with the first part of the double elimination bracket. The seeding just ended, and I do really look forward to of who we're gonna have making it through the first set of matches, because there is 44 players, I think, who have at least gotten some points. At least that's what I have here. And this will be fun. I think we're gonna have good matches already coming up from now.
Yeah, I'm going through all of the matches. Currently, there's I would say one of the more interesting ones is probably Binks, Neoterzel, and Henkan. So basically, whoever wins gets a win in this kind of match will get automatically put in the upper qualification match. So it just should go relatively quickly and swiftly like that. So probably that will be the match. That will go. Yeah, probably that will be the one. I'm going through all the matches.
Yeah, I'm also checking right now, actually. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of matches right now happening. So maybe also Panda, Zemos, Catbagasm potentially as well, maybe.
Oh, we also have the Kresmas and Lama Lapas playing against each other, and then Epos is also in this match. Could be a nice fight for second in this match.
Yeah, because top two basically advance from these ones. Which server is the... Epos and two Lithuanians. Yeah, we can go with that, yeah.
Well, server 12, yeah. I mean, we could go for that one, and then maybe after that we could go for the, I think it was server 5, yeah. With Bings, Neotertil, and Henken. Yeah, so let's go server 12 for now. I think having two Lithuanians on there as well is very cool. Yeah. All right, let's go for that one then. So format as follows: we're gonna play in cup mode. So point rotation is 10, 6, 4, and 3 points. And then we have one warm-up beforehand. Point was 100, finish time on 10 seconds, 4 rounds per map, and there will be two number of winners. So top 2 goes to bottom 2. In this case, only one player will get demoted into the lower brackets.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, this is I think first place here. I think is basically set. I feel like it. But yeah, the main fight is gonna be, I feel like, between Lama Lapas and Kresmas here. I personally haven't really seen Kresmas, honestly, even around the scene, not so much. At least hasn't played that much in the Baltic events. There are a lot of like Lithuania only events happening in the Baltic scene. So there's a lot of players. So let's say play just the Lithuanian only events, and usually don't see them there. So for me, it might be also like a bit of a surprise to see some players. The same thing is for some of Estonians I see. For example, every single weekend we have like in Baltic scene we have like Baltic whenever tournaments, and we have like a daily like random map together sessions, and there's like some random Estonians, especially Estonians who I have never heard and are actually like beating me, for example. It's like it's like, wait, what?
We're getting old.
Well, not getting old, I'm just getting like these decent players popping out of nowhere, and just like never heard of them in that.
Yeah, but I mean, same with Hollow and Vinge. Of course, they were very solid, but now they're like players who are like top 20, top 30 material in that way. Before that, they were like just quote-unquote cup of the day players, but you know, now they're really shining through and just challenging someone like Mime or even Stufts, who did really well and eventually won the seeding. So there's a lot of good players coming up out of nowhere, that is for sure. But I mean, the match here will start. I think it's pretty straightforward who's gonna win this match. Let's also follow the storyline along if Epos can make the perfect match possible in this kind of phase, because for that he has to win, or like we have a pick phase happening, of course, before that as well. But he has to play 3 maps. So let's see what the first map will be, as I think the lowest seed will be starting the pick phase, as Christmas I think is the second seed, so I'm not sure like who is the...
Yeah, probably Christmas is the bit higher one, yep.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Picked randomly, so it's only Lama Lapas and the Christmas then who were able to pick a map. So Epos didn't pick any map. Interesting.
Yeah, so in the chat we have an interesting gamba who will get second here. So right now a lot of people are going for Epos, but I think you gotta read the message, you know, just what it means. So yeah. So currently there's a fight between Epos and Christmas for who gets seconds. I believe that Okay, here's my insider knowledge. I'm pretty sure Epos will win this one. But
Wow, no way.
well, you might never know what happens. He might completely blunder, or Lama Lapas goes full, no, full offline training. So who knows? But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm actually very curious. Lama Lapas versus Christmas. Lama Lapas sometimes was on the edge of. So locally within the Baltic scene, we have the Baltic Trackmania League, where we have the top 16 best active players in the so-called elite division, and the rest are usually playing in an open bracket afterwards. Usually, Lama Lapas is within like just the edge of making either like at the bottom at the elites or the top of the open bracket. So basically,
Hmm.
around like I would say around like 15 to 20 in terms of Baltic standings usually. And Christmas I haven't really seen before. So if he already can take on around like top 20 player from the Baltic scene like that, so we'll have to see what can happen with that. So it's like a bit of a server reset going on a bit. Chem doing a bit of tomfoolery a bit.
Yeah, I also got.
Classic. It happens like that.
Yeah, I cannot find so, but yeah, I think the match will be starting very soon. As the match is already said, they have been generated. Players know where to go. Not sure about the pick phase. I did not find that anywhere, and also why Ipos was not able to pick a map because he was the top
That
seed.
was probably the reason why it got reset, because I see in the players' discussions there has been some stuff regarding it as well mentioned.
Yeah, but things will be, the pick phase, there was an issue, so there will be a small break of that, but I think we can just talk over that, so why not?
Yep.
I mean, what would be a Trackmania tournament without some small issues? But I mean, they will be resolved.
Yep.
Yeah, like Cam is cooking on it already. But I mean, Stufz was 142,000 points in the lead, and then Panda as well. So I mean, Stufz and Wizzy also were attending the Comic Con event last year, and they did not do too bad in there, especially Stufz. Wizzy had some problems with his wheel, if I recall that correctly, and did not really find his way into the tournament. Also did not do too bad, but Stufz, I think, will come to play there as well and tries to make it into the final, at least, after seeing that performance.
Yeah, but like I said, this year looking way stacked, and with the major status, will be interesting, especially because we have 8 more players. Who already are in the bracket or in the main event already known. So there will be that as well.
Yeah, but I mean also Panda on second place, but we also do not know how Tween is going to play, as well as Massa and Granadi. I mean, they're all they're very strong players. I think I do not have to introduce them. And then of course we also have Elcon, who has won kind of effortlessly. Like, he played such a nice final last year and just took it home. And I think Elcon, if he wants to win a competition, it feels like he can just do it. Like, also with Magi Monday now happening, or has happened, Elcon is just, he's on another level. It's crazy. And he has also won the Magi Monday just last Monday, which was very cool to see.
Yeah, we have also Mime playing here, who is the very first Comica Baltics event winner as well. So we have the both winners. I have a feeling you might see the third new winner here, but we'll see. Maybe someone also. Mime. I mean, you got to think about this also. Mime was vice champion in Trackmania as well. Had a solid performance, was top 4 in the last World Championship as well. So he has a consistent top 4 performance in the World Championships. Stufz as well was top 6 last year. So who knows? Who knows? Might see something interesting. Looks like finally the picks are being sorted out. We got everything set. So right now, since we have a 3-way match, we have basically each player giving a pick, and we have 2 random picks. We're gonna see all players having a chance to pick a map of their choice.
Yeah.
So I paused the upper seed, got the first pick, and then the lower the list, then the list follows as that.
Yeah, so that's how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I mean, we have quite the players in this tournament. Then, of course, someone like Pusi Tupaco as well, who I think had his first LAN appearance and also one of the homologated events that took place, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. where he also made it into the final. So that's also very cool to see that. And like someone of the players who have not seen so far is someone like Pussy Tupaco, of course, who has been improving and could also be someone to shock the one or another player by maybe even winning this whole thing. Who knows? Who knows? There's 3 weeks of practice for the players between this qualifier and the live event.
Yeah, there were also some other players who are currently highly rated who wanted to play, but sadly due to some real life situations, sadly was not could not were not possible. One of them is Pack, who was second place of the April monthly cup, but also. I mean, Pack as well. In terms of monthly cups, we have the winner of the April events, Binks, playing this time around as well. In this event. So, like I said, seeing the previously TMGL or the previous last year's World Cup players playing in this event, it's gonna be sick to see, especially at the LAN, and especially because this is not gonna be the first one. There's gonna be some other upcoming LANs as well. At the end of June, there's gonna be the very first LAN in North America. And I saw that there were some decent North American players, including Code Junior, Lingo, already in the list, as well with Tankrom and some others. So that will be as well an event to look out for as well in approximately like 2 months from now on. Also, probably just part of the World Tour standing. But yeah, looks like finally we're on our way with our first match of this time. We have Kresmas, Epos, and Lamalapas. Top 2 advance immediately to the qualification match. The loser here will be put into the lowers.
Yeah,
it is kind of expected that Epos will probably be the one taking the dub here. So with the fight between the 2 Lithuanians who might be the ones going through here.
Oh yeah, and Kresmas also makes the jump, but also the storyline for this match is, will Apples be able to make the perfect match happen? I mean, he also did really good in the April event where he made it into the final. Surprisingly, the likes of Carl Jr. did not make it into there, but we have seen Pack, who also looked very, like, for me it was surprisingly that he showed up and was so prepared, because he looked so good in the final as well. And I think like he was leading for most of the time, but then didn't win it. It was Binks taking it home. So it would have been cool to see the likes of Pack in this event here as well, and maybe join up with Apos as well. You know, the UK lads then playing in some of the matches against each other as well. But it is Apos winning the first round, Kresmas on second, and then we have Lamalapas on third. But I mean, this map is also quite challenging. The first quarter pipe jump is not that easy to clear, as we've seen a bit of a mistake there already happening at the start from, I think it was Kresmas, who eventually got second place.
Actually surprised all of them got the gear at the very start, because getting that gear is not easy at all. And finally, I'm actually surprised, relatively close round already at the top. So main thing here, like I said, oh, what an interesting flip there from Lomolopez. I don't know if that was caught on camera, but yeah, actually pretty nice round there between Epos and Kresmas so far. Like the Kresmas, a bit of the unknown player, even for me, a bit. But yeah, Epos currently still having a solid round here. Or this map is so hard to get everything efficient. He was a bit lacking speed, did not get enough speed there, and got that clip on the side. Like, these maps are really, really difficult, especially compared to some other competitive ones. And yeah, just not getting that, like, just getting clean run on these ones is not that easy. And with the homologated rule set, it's 10-second finish timeouts. So yeah, even just getting that map finish in with these kind of difficulties is gonna be not that easy to do if you're not from the high end of players.
Yeah, so Lamalapas there messing up the ending, but you could have seen it with Kresmas POV. He just released a little bit in that jump and then didn't make it. It looks so easy, but one small adjustment and you will not clear the jump. And then you respawn, or before the respawn, you steer a bit to the left, then you have to readjust, respawn again. And like this, you already lose 7 seconds, something around that. He was still able to finish, but was not able to contend the 10 pointers away from Epos, who again leads the round by 1 second. Lamalapas is 5 seconds behind, so he will not play a role unless both of them make a mistake. Now Kresmas with a good run, but it's still Apples in the lead. Also not the best speed here, but will still be able to clear that last part. No, he will not. He has to respawn, and that is a long respawn. Will he be able to finish? 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2... And it is barely enough. Oh, 6 points accumulated for him. Epos 3 out of 3, but this was very close for Christmas to crossing that finish line.
Yeah, Lamalapus is very, very struggling on this one, actually. Like, only getting one round finish in. We usually don't see that events, but yeah, with the rule set, with the modern rule set, that's kind of the thing that can happen, especially when the maps are relatively difficult. I'm a bit surprised by Christmas. Getting, honestly, even getting on these maps, getting approximately like even 2 seconds from world record is not that easy. Especially how tight and how gear efficient you need to be on most of these maps here. Okay, now he, of course, as I said that, it messes up. Yeah, Epos having a very nice and easy match so far. He's not risking that much for playing relatively safe, just getting all the main parts of the map sorted out properly. So for him should be relatively easy pickings here so far. Yeah, if this match is going to be ramped up, we're going to be jumping in on the other maps. Decent time as well, 0.8.
Yeah, but Kresma's failing there and not nailing that. And I think it looks so deceiving if someone like Epos drives through the map. But then if you do a small adjustment just before you lift off, you just are crashing into something. And so this is what has happened to Kresmas here. Still able to finish, but Lamalapas only with 4 points. So this is not looking too bad. Epos with a perfect match still happening, but now we have another hard map to predict. One of the easier ones to finish, I would say. The map by Kiesler, Wild Child.
Yeah, so in my opinion, this is the easiest map of the set, as mentioned in the quali already. Well, we'll have to see what happens in rounds. I feel like this might be the lowest quality match we see so far throughout the day. Definitely after this one, things are going to ramp up. It's just the way with the amount of players, the way how the bracket was just sorted out. Yeah, we'll see how things will look like in practice. Let's see if Epos can do a 49 here, because 49s, in my opinion, for rounds are going to be probably things to look out for, potentially. But most likely for Epos, there's nothing much to push here, especially in a match like this. So we'll see if he does. Oh, he goes outside. Okay. All right. So when I played the map, it was a bit different. So maybe that's just a specific thing on the map. So I was just watching Epos. There's a one part where I could not decide, is it outside pole or inside? So yeah. Okay, let's see. Maybe if Lamalapus can finally get some rounds in as well. Kresmas actually being a bit of a nice surprise here for me so far. Of course, we'll have to see how he faces off against some actual decent players. But so far, at least was surviving the hard map, or the hardest map, in my opinion. So far, it looks like Epos gets everything nicely. Christmas is a bit chugging along a bit behind him. Yeah, Christmas is playing just really, really safe. I think he knows that he needs to just get top 2 and he'll be fine. So not a crazy risk from Christmas so far. Just he's like saving every single turn. He probably knows, okay, Epos is just running away with his 49s or something. And we'll just play it nice and safe and not let Lamalapos go through. Okay, Epos finishes 50.3. It's around like 0.9.
Wow. How did Kresmas finish like this? That was very close. But yeah, I agree with that, what you have said. It's like Kresmas just plays along, drives very safe, but also Epos not with the fastest time here, 50.32, but enough for him to taking it home and now being up to 50 points. Let's see, Lamalapus now gets a much better start. Kresmas released here and there, and with that made the turn significantly easier, because the faster you're on this map, the harder it eventually is. Lamalapus currently on 3rd position, but not too far behind. Gets through that turn, but that's what I mean. Like, it's hard to predict of how to exit turns on wood, and that's why Lamalapus made that mistake there, because it's very hard to predict. But now Kresmas has a better run here by the looks of it, only 0.8 away from Epos, who is on a good time here by the looks of it, and also gathers up a lot of speed here. Look at that, having so much more speed compared to Kresmas, is 1.1 seconds ahead, and will win another round, will move up to 60 points, and Kresmas also with a nice 2nd place. Maybe not. Nope, he will not get 2nd. But Lamalapus now with his first 6-pointer. But Kresmas still able to finish. But this could have been much more. But still, the gap is quite big. It is 24 points between 2nd and 3rd. And 26 between 1st and 2nd. So almost decided match already, but everything can happen in Trackmania.
We'll have to see here, though. Lamalapas is quite struggling, though.
Yeah.
So, okay. 1,000 of a difference between Epos and Christmas in one checkpoint. Let's go. Closest CP so far. But yeah, Epos playing also relatively safe for his space. Christmas playing is relatively safe for his space as well. And then you can kind of see the difference here. But yeah, Lamalapas trying to play safe, trying to pick up the map properly. But yeah, watching Epos. Will he finally get that 49 this time in a match? Because for me, even like 50s already seem relatively decent.
I mean, he already drove a 49 in the previous rounds.
Yeah.
So we'll do it
Okay,
again.
new improvements. Yeah, 49.8.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's honestly relatively fast already. 0.4 from world records. That's pretty good. That's pretty good already.
Yeah, really good time from Epos. 7 out of 7 for him. Kresmas at 40 points, and then Lamalapa still at 10. Didn't finish the round beforehand. So gaps are quite, quite evenly spread apart, with 30 points between first and second, and between second and third. So there you go. Now approach round number 4 on this map. And then it could be the last map for Epos already. He could close it out, and a perfect match could definitely happen here for him as he drives. I wouldn't say he drives to the absolute maximum, even though a 0.8 is very fast. But he just tries to just get his consistency game rolling, which is a very smart decision to make, because we see a lot of players in those kind of matches who are just pushing it to the oblivion and just trying to like set good times. I mean, a 0.6 is really fast. Yes, it is, but I think he can still go faster because he does not make any mistake. So good job here from Epos so far. And he's now at 80 points, Kresnos at 46, and Lamalapas didn't finish. He's at 10 points.
Well, it was expected, but honestly, Epos' consistency is really solid here. He has been doing like 0.4, 0.6 already consistent, which is like a good warm-up for him. But usually when you play in these matches, especially when double limb is used, you get this, how can you say, like you're not getting a lot of pressure brought by other opponents in your round 1, and then suddenly in round 2 you have to like play against other like top contenders instantly. And it can really mess with your head like this and throw you off. So I feel like for Epos, honestly, here main thing is trying to get the mental going really good. Get that decent consistency going, so he's basically ready to pop off against decent players in the next match. So actually already the next round will be the qualification match. So basically whoever goes through this match, and then the next one will already be through to the offline stage already.
Yep. That is correct.
Yep, and then like the big lower bracket fight is gonna be the main part. We're gonna see the funkiest of fights today, I feel like, and tomorrow as well.
Yeah, this will be happening today, and of course will conclude tomorrow as well. This was a 2-day event, but also the Baltic Flick now being played by Vixa. Definitely not the easiest map, but most importantly, if Epos wins the next 3 rounds, the 10-pointers are up for grabs, and Lamalapas can make something happen with a good comeback, and Kresmas has to close out in finalist. 46 points for him though, not too bad to say the least. And let's move on to the first round on this map, as Epos gets a really good start as always, finds himself a lead, but also now Lamalapas on second place. Kresmas tries to come back, but Epos with a small mistake just before the first dirt zoop, and that is a close round here, SRK. Look at that, 1 car length between the players, or 800s to say it in that, but Kresmas and Epos are now ahead of Lamalapas, who was temporarily leading the round, but I don't think that he will play well because he has dropped a lot of speed just before the ice part. Let's see what Epos can do in the ending. Not the most convincing of runs from him, as Kresmas and Epos are fighting it out, but I do think Epos has it. Oh, that was also not the best line from him. The UK lad might be a bit shaky, but I think with a good ending he could still claim that first position. But Kresmas goes for the attack. Good speed, but doesn't get the flick. Oof. Epos gets first. Good round though for first.
Yeah, surprisingly close round. Usually it's also from this, since Kresmas is like one of these a bit unknown players as well. I feel like can really give him a bit of a, how can I say, a good mental boost as well. Wait, that was pretty close actually. Maybe I
Yep.
can do this, and then maybe like future events, then you know, can get better and better as well. So we'll have to see how it will
This really helps.
potentially will prime out. So we'll have to see what Christmas does. But right now, Christmas is lagging a bit, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, once again, Epos will probably just have to take the win in this round, and then he'll already be entering finalist status already with that.
Yep. Oh, also Llama Lapas here with a mistake, crashes into the wall, and it seems like we only have 2 finishers in this round, so probably have a small pause until the issues have been resolved. But the round will not be skipped or paused because Kasma's already started this one, so nothing that we can do against that other than just can't wait, sit here as Epos will win this round. He's 5 seconds ahead, and Llama Lapas also will get some points if he will finish the round. And there you go, Epos with a clean ending here as well. 59.78, good time as well. And Llama Lapas also approaches the ending on 2nd place. So there you go. And now we probably have to wait a little bit until Kresmas has resolved his problems.
Yeah, we already spoke previously when during the qualification happened that getting a 0.7 on a map like this is like the time you get if you get everything right. So the way how Stufts got a 0.2, I like it's kind of hard to really understand a bit.
Yeah.
Like where did that time save come from? So hopefully watching throughout the events, we'll notice that a bit. And looks like we have a light pause. Epos is still gaming, trying to close out his finalist. But looks like, yeah, Christmas probably had the internet issues. Probably went to the router, tried to solve it out. So that's why he's currently stuck at the start a bit.
Yeah. So we just have to wait up until everything is fixed. But I mean, so far, just to go through the match, what has happened so far, of course, that is the first round. And I think you mentioned a good point, or I think I've seen that in chat or mentioned it. It can really mess with your brain if you play against weaker opponents in this way. But I think Epos does a great job, especially on map 1 and 2, where he has played really well on, and just try to find his pace into that. I think the only, like, really weak round, quote unquote, was the first round on this map, on Vix's map Baltic Flake. But other than that, it looked really good for him so far. Just to find his composure, not to get too distracted by the, yeah, I would say a bit weaker pace from the other players on this match. But still very nicely done so far. So Apos could also take a nice and good seat coming into the Comic-Con events.
Yeah, have you played the maps, by the way, Turbo? Have you checked them
Yes,
out? Played them for yourself?
I've played them in that way, but I didn't finish them. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna watch the world records, and just I think I watched them like 5 or 6 times, but I was not able to finish them in this way because I got a bit confused, especially here on this map with the risky ending. I was like, okay, what do I do there? So I think I sometimes learn the best by just watching the replays. But the
Yeah,
maps are not easy. Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, so for example, I always if there's like an event, I kind of assist with the broadcast or with the event, I always try to play through the maps and put a bit of practice so I get that player POV or that experience a bit. I put myself like approximately like 1 hour on each of the maps here. And yeah, I only got like 1.5. I think there was only 2 maps where I got under points a second from at that time public world records. So yeah, some of these maps, even for finish wise, is really, really, really rough. And yeah, so right now there's the admin call that's currently waiting at Christmas at 23. If not, then they will just continue the match as it is. Looks like Christmas is finally joined back, so it should be fine.
Yeah, but yeah, I usually try to make it like that as well, to play through the maps. But usually I learn very good when it comes to just spectating and watching, because I have been casting so many matches and I just like created a feeling for what is hard on the map and what not, if there's a particular gear or something like that. But like definitely playing through the maps, you just get a different POV and that way as well, and just know what is really hard and what not, right? That is for sure.
There's also sometimes some details when you play yourself, like small bumps and stuff like that you notice.
Yeah.
Usually that the top players don't, but then you see, that was weird. He made a mistake like at that specific part.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you get noticed when you try to play through it. That's why I always like it. Then you kind of then can notice after watching it. Plus, then you can relate to the maps a bit more. Because sometimes when you kind of watch the events and you haven't played the maps, it's kind of hard to understand. It's always like a map like this, and you can't relate when like someone does like a good time on the map and stuff. So usually that really helps just to get familiarized with the
Agreed.
event, the map set, and everything like that.
That is for sure. But yeah, it seems like Cosmos is back on the server, and we're gonna continue with this match here very soon, as Epos is still in finals, of course, and I hope everything will be fixed eventually, that we can continue with that match.
Yeah, they're currently waiting a confirmation from Christmas. That's currently the situation that's happening. Either way, at 23, it continues. So we'll have to see how things will go. On how things have been sorted out. Right now, in the round one, there's a bunch of other matches happening as well at the same time, and some of the matches, as basically the players who placed quite high in the seeding phase, got a round one bye, so they just get to chill a bit, maybe do a bit of additional time attack practice. Those who were placed a bit lower had to have to go through at least one of these play-in matches like this. So these are kind of the play-in rounds a bit.
Yeah.
And looks like we're gonna be finally on our way. Finally.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
this is like one of the matches that's still like still going on
ongoing.
from the rest.
Maybe one of the few that's still ongoing. The break took quite long, but you know, it is what it is. We're happy that we fix it, and we would also be happy in Kresma's situation to be able to taking this kind of break, right? So it's very cool to seeing that. But here we go, round number 11 on this particular match. Epos is in finals. Can he make the perfect match happen? As he has to win one more round in order to make it into the winner bracket round 2. Right now, this looks really good. Very good start from the player from the United Kingdom, who has also played the World Championship alongside with Razi. They got 7th, 8th position in there. And it was kind of the year for him in 2023, I would say, where he really brought himself onto the radar, played a lot of events, and also established himself, especially through this performance at the World Championship, as well as the Racer Summit, he played really well in, and now wants to attend his next LAN event with Comic-Con Baltics, and he will jump a significant step closer because he will be winning this match, finishing backwards, and is the first one to going through here. Crashmash on second, Lamalapas on third, and this will be the fight that we're gonna be focusing on right now because top 2 will go through into the winner brackets round 2.
Yep, so basically it looks like Rasmus is the favorite here between the two Lithuanians, basically like how we have seen so far. So a bit of a 1v1 for the last slot. Now since Epos is gone out of the match, now the real match starts, I would say.
Yeah.
So Christmas was the one with the biggest advantage so far. So the first person now finally can get that 10 points, accelerate the points limit finally as well.
Oh.
Oh, Christmas went a bit on an uphill somewhere.
Yeah,
he looks like he did respawn. A bit of a weird situation there, honestly.
Yeah, it looked a bit odd, right? Because his inputs were frozen, but maybe it's only because of the respawn, right? Maybe that's just the visual.
So in that part, you can also potentially clip to the side. That happen. So that also I think might look weird. Because with these maps it's very tight, and so if one touch it can change the angle of the car, especially if your back wheel touches or something.
Yeah.
Oh, actually Lomalapas gets a pretty good end there.
Yeah.
He had a crash early on, but he had a pretty solid end there. Got the biggest speed there. Yeah, looked like so Lomalapas making a light comeback now.
Hopefully.
Getting some points going finally.
This will be very cool to see that, actually, if he can make that comeback. Now we go to Rokat's map. I think just push it a lot here, but then the turn before and with the water wet wheels will be very hard for players to deal with. This for me was very hard, and I tried this map on keyboards when I tried to playing through this, and I was like, dude, no, I'm just gonna watch the replays. But already getting the start timing right is so hard on this map. At least for me it was when I played with keyboards.
This map in general is really, really hard. Like the two hardest maps is the one that was very first here in the pool, and this one is the hardest one. There's so much, like, it's very, you have to take like, it's tight everywhere, and you have to do like a pseudo mixed map. So I'm assuming we're gonna see a lot of mistakes happening here, honestly. And that's a bit expected as well. When I was preparing the maps, even more than with like around like 1 hour of playtime, it was relatively hard to get some of the like just getting clean runs in, honestly, on this, just how tight the map is everywhere. Plus then especially in the middle end parts, just getting gears properly set as well. Yeah, not that easy, not that easy.
Yeah, it is not that easy indeed. As we go into the first round on this map, it is Kresmas versus Lamalapas, 64 versus 34 points, so the gap is quite a little bit there, I would say, but Lamalapas has won the previous round. So let's see what they can make happen on this one, as Kresmas has a very good start, is 0.4 ahead, and look to extend their lead. But I think, or we will definitely see another map. And with that, the last map of this rotation as well, regardless of what is happening, as Lamalapas clips the inside. So it is it's a bit of a sticky situation there, because you have those wet wheels, but you still make it across. But if you release, nothing happens. But yeah, Kresmas is going to win this round and will extend their lead to 74 points. Will make that jump here as well. A bit later though, but still enough to get 10 points.
Yeah, at least should be fine. I think Resma should be the one locked in. And, well, we'll see, we'll see. Lamalapas needs to just step up. But the fact that he got a finish here going is already a good sign. Because on the Whiskey map, he was really, really struggling to even get some finishes in.
That is
yeah, a lot of,
sure.
like in this play-in phase, this is like the play-in round, basically, of the event. Where the players who did not get enough high placements in the seeding had to play additional match here for the qualification match, direct qualification match with some of the less experienced players. So that's why we saw Epos playing in the early round. And so far, this is for the second slots in the next upper round already. Okay, Lamalapas has woken up a bit. Lamalapas is starting to boot up Trackmania finally. Kresmas getting a weird line. Lamalapas somehow surviving. Gets the jump over the reset part. Gets a big release before that downhill part. If you're playing in Cam 1, it's a bit awkward to get. Okay. It's a very beginner-ish drifts from Lamalapas. Lamalapas actually, like a couple of years ago, was pretty solid and nice. Actually, on some of the mixed maps was not too shabby, but Yas currently gets another 10 points. Kresmas only +6. Maybe that's one big break has started to mess up some stuff.
Yeah, very odd round here that has happened. A lot of mistakes, but then they were all just, or both of them were just very close to each other here again. Just in that water section, or in this wet wheel section. But let's go into the next round, because Kresmas gets a good start. Lamalapas jumping and not touching there. I thought for a second he would definitely touch into that one, but didn't make that happen. As now you have to oversteer, but not too much, and also not too little, else you will hit the pole on the left side. And if you oversteer too much, you will lose the gear, or just have not the best amount of speed out of that one. As Lamalapas lagging a little bit on the server, and Kresmas finds himself on the lead, could go up to 90 points, and then only one victory away of reaching finals mode. Looking good, jumping over the cruise control block there, and Kresmas only needs one more jump that you can fail to making it into the finish. And this looks like a good approach, good apex, and a good ending there, all things considered, from Kresmas, as Lamalapas can finish the round, but he needs to make that risky ending happening, and he will do so. 9 seconds behind, up to 56 points, but now needs to win at least the next round to deny the finals mode to Kesmas.
A bit of Llama VPN action there. Looks like, yeah, getting a bit of so usually basically there's a bit of an inside joke that Lamalapas was always lagging because he was playing through a VPN, because so he gets a better connection on some parts, so that's why he was we'll have to see how it goes, but either way for Christmas this looks like a very good opportunity, scoring some 10 points and enter finalist status already, because Lamalapas not having the best of starts right now. But yeah.
And Kresmas could reach that finalist mode here if he survives the round. Makes a mistake, but will not lose 4 seconds with that. So it is still okay, all things considered, because Lamalapas having a bit of struggles here. Hole-in-one into that one. Another hole-in-one into a double respawn. So I'm not sure if Lamalapas is even able to finish. Kresmas is able to finish and goes up to finals mode, but we're gonna go to the next map, and Lamalapas will not be able to finish here by the looks of it. Okay, he will be ever so slightly. 62 points for him, so 4 wins in a row are needed to force map number 1 again. So this is the last map of the rotation. It's Kaluki's map called Venue. This could be it. Only 1 victory needed for Kresmas to closing it out.
Okay, this shouldn't be that hard, right? For Kresmas to close it out, so we finally can move on to the to the proper matches afterwards, you know? Okay, let's see if Kresmas can close it out finally.
Surely, but we still have a warm-up here beforehand on this very speedy-ish map, especially on that. After the very slow start, the map gets really fast with a lot of reactor boost action and also a lot of wide drifts to set up where you have to maximize your speed outcome. Really cool map, very vivid map. Also when it comes to the color and branding from the Comic-Con, of course. It's very cool. Very, very nice map from Kaluki. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. Right, so there you go, Womp has ended, and this will be the first finals attempt for Kresmas, and he can make it into the winner bracket round 2. So good luck to him. Let's see if he can make it.
All right, let's see who gets the start. We'll see Lamalapas maybe getting a small deny here, because either way, Lamalapas will be moving on to the lower bracket with some other, let's just say, not as fast or not as consistent players as well. So basically the players who do good can finish off the day relatively quickly. In the previous Comic-Con Baltics events, in the main event, there were 16 players at the main stage.
Yep.
So this time there's expanded to 32. So that's why there's way more room for players to join in for this time. Looks like Kresmas actually getting a decent round going here so far. Lamalapas is trying to keep up pace, but that is not the case. Yeah, Kresmas getting a decent round going. Bit of a wonky line there, but still gets it through. Let's see if he gets it. Saves the ends. Takes it very safe. Oh, that's a sketchy entry, but still gets it and finishes off.
Nice.
And Kresmas does get
GG's.
the second place in the end.
So I have to say Kresmas had some really good runs and also some good maps. So I do really look forward to seeing him playing also tomorrow in the lower bracket, or maybe even at the Comic-Con Baltic offline finals, because I think he will have a chance if he practices a bit more in this kind of scenario. Lamalapas was lacking consistency, but still a great performance from him, and they can also just see how hard those maps really are. So this was it for the winner bracket round 1, and we had some technical difficulties here on not on our side, on the side of the players, and also at the start of the match, but that was it. So that was very cool to seeing this, and yeah, I'm hyped to see the other matches, but I will be leaving for now, so there will be a new duo approaching you guys just after the break.
Cosmos was seed number 27, so there was that. Yep. I think we're live.
Hello, producer here. Sorry for
live,
that
by the
little miscommunication moment, but yeah, thank you very much for tuning into this stream of day 1 of the Open Qualifier. Big thanks to Turbo and SRK, of course, for being there, casting and guiding us through the opening rounds, of course, in this first day. We'll be picking back up in about 20 minutes time with the rest of the day 1 action. And yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting because these will be the first qualifying matches to bag the ticket to the main event in Vilnius. So yeah, stay with us. We'll be back after about 20 minutes of break. Welcome back, everybody, to day one of the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 qualifier for the Trackmania tournament. I'm Thomas Bengozi, aka Geek, and I'm joined in by Kridi, who's been standing by in the background. I've been trying to do the beep boops, and sometimes it didn't go that well, as you could see from the outset. It's probably going to be haunting me for the rest of this year, I bet. But whatever. Kridi, we're back in the casting booth after a little bit less of a waiting time than what we had last time. But yeah, we're going to be heading into a very, very juicy phase, because this is now the qualifying matches where the top 2 of each match are going to be qualifying through to the main event in Vilnius.
Yeah, that will be the main story for today. Is that basically if you get through the entire upper bracket, that is your first ticket towards Vilnius, and these are the matches that will determine that so far. And tomorrow, where we will go through the entire lower bracket to find out who will be the rest of the people going through. And also, if people are a bit confused as well, how the matches will be casted as well will be, they are staggered. So we will start off with match number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Spoilers, we have picked number 4 for you, so you can go on to the bracket as well, ! To see who will be there. But and then we will have a short break and do 5, 6, 7, 8. So and from those we will get the from each match it will be top 2, which means that after all of the matches are concluded, we will have the first 16 already figured out to be qualified for the offlines.
Yes, exactly. In the meantime, well, I guess we can just show the server that we are on just for reference. It is going to be Enzo, Coco, Bozbaz, and Rotrex in no particular order. The picks and bans are currently starting on their way right here, right now. It's going to be Bozbaz getting the first match pick going in. First map pick, it's going to be Musha by Rocket. It's going to be already a pretty tough pick to start on because of the way that it was described by SRK and Turbo, being very, very much a precision map where you don't really have that much leeway and much margin for error when it comes to trajectories. Coco will be then picking up Wildchild from Kisla, the wood map, then Venue from Karluki will be picked by Rotrex, and then Baltic Flake by Enzo, and of course that leaves Melohi, the map from Whiskey, as the last map, as the decider.
Yeah, that is a very interesting order as well. The fact that Musha is picked first by Bozbaz shows that definitely he has the most confidence on the track as well. And given that his opponent as well maybe wants to get that map out of the way as well, given that this is now a qualification match as well. So that means the point totals are now different as well. So for the qualification matches, it is 120 points. So you do a quick maths then and there, Maybe you want to get some of the maps out of the way so they don't come back into rotation. And honestly, Musha is definitely, I have to agree with SRK and Turbo's analysis on that as well. It's probably one of the more crucial maps to get right. So Bozbaz picking it first, it's going to be a tough one, but hopefully he can get on to a good start and we can go from there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I mean, this is very much a double-edged sword, right? Well, not quite a double. It's always a double-edged sword when you pick your favorite match. Yep, there you go. It's always a bit of a double-edged sword whenever you actually do those kind of picks, where either you pick the favorite map or you pick the hardest map and you just want to get it out of the way quickly. But sometimes you feel like, this is going to be a bit of a doozy, I'd rather get this out of the way. But sometimes on the maps where you feel a little bit the weakest, turns out sometimes you can get some great rounds and actually get some really, really good points hauls that will set you up greatly in having a solid advantage when it comes to actually concluding the match further on in the run-up. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how Bozbaz copes in this. One of the 2 Blue Jays players participating in the Open Qualifier. Blue Jays, which is a name that is actually returning after close to 7 years since they last competed on Trackmania. That was in Team Comes back in 2017. And yeah, Epos and Boz, that is of course a very, very solid pairing. You just can't go wrong with the BITM boys, the top 2 of the Beacon World League during the inaugural season, of course, that was played over the course of the month of January. And Boz will be having a very stern opponent in the form of Coco, who has recently reached free agency status after closing out a stint of 3 years as part of Izzy Dream, and of course a very, very worthy player and one to continue to watch out for, as he can seemingly just pull out the sickest of comebacks. Very strong mentally. As we're getting started right here, right now with the match, it will be first to 120 points. The points limit has been bumped up here for the qualification matches, so expect these points to be even more hotly contested. Right now, it's going to be Coco and Bozbaz we're going to be focusing on with the wet plastic part to mark the end of the first sector, and it's going to be pretty much neck and neck right now, Kedi, with 20 milliseconds at the end of the split, and then Bozbaz now taking the lead.
Yeah, this is a very familiar sight for me because in the World Tour Monthly Cup, Bospez and Coco were in my match, and that was the exact sight I saw constantly. I was in the position of Rotrex, and I saw Bospez and Coco just constantly fighting out up in the front. But it's good to see they are off to a good start, and but Bospez map pick as well. He needs to get the start going. Good drifts already in the end as well. Coco can push a bit more speed, goes for the more inside line, but just enough for that plastic section. Bospez gets in front by 20 thousandths of a second. Already a close race between the two, and Rotax and Enzo fill in the back line with 10, 6, 4, and 3, and all to play for. I think this will be a good fight between Bospez and Coco, but what I saw from them, at least from my experience playing them once in the Monthly Cup, I do feel that Coco is the one that can falter a bit more, but then again, I feel like Bospez is a nice stronghold as well. He can be very frustrating to play against because he just ends up doing consistent times over and over and over again.
Yeah, having those two opponents is a little bit of a tougher position. Well, especially when it comes very early on in the bracket. Like, if it was on round 1, then you would have thought, oh my god, what did I do to deserve this? But here, as a quality match, you might be thinking, okay, I mean, those are worthy opponents to play against, and if I lose against them, then that's okay, that's fair game. As Rotrex unfortunately went a little bit too wide on that little sign, then that little hole section, and full stop it into the barrier on the side of the road. But right now, still at the front, it's going to be Coco this time having a solid entry into the third sector to distance himself from the Brit, from Blue Jays. Volsbez about 2/10 down, has nothing to actually latch onto, and we'll be seeing Coco cross the line with another 54.894. Actually, we're looking to be pretty spicy in terms of time. Just for the reference, again, the record is currently still sitting by Mime, and it's a 0.618 that's been lasting for a couple days. So yeah, 0.6 is world record, 0.8 is more than respectable.
Yeah, it's very good indeed. We saw a lot of times, of course, beaten in the time attacks seeding as well. So you definitely saw the emphasis on that people put on offline practicing as well. At least some of them did. But for the time being, at least, we see as well that Coco is the one that, well, actually, Rotrex is the one that takes the early lead, but has to compensate for that plastic part with the wet wheels as well. Not an easy section to get through as well. And what did I say regarding Coco having a bit more or less consistency? He finds himself currently in the last position. So it is perfect opportunity for Bospez to just go through this track, get a nice lead in front of Coco, because, you know, you would love to get that first position, get it sorted out. My weekend is done, and enjoy watching everybody else struggle in day 2, basically. But for the time being, looks all good. Nothing in the end should go wrong, especially if he's keeping an eye on the splits, and that is a very comfortable first position with Rotek second, Enzo third, and Coco coming in to round up in 4th position. So all things good for Bospez, Coco giving some more opportunity for others to catch up. But for the time being, there is a clear front two, but we have still plenty of points to gather until we get to finalist mode.
I was going to chime in. Keep in mind, we're only 3 rounds in. This is round number 4 that we're starting here on Musha. And so far, I'd say Boss has made a pretty solid choice, because 26 points out of 30 possible in the first 3 rounds to be collected. That is a solid haul for the man from the Blue Jays. In the meantime, yeah, Coco did have a very big setback in the last round. It does get another big setback, but that's that wet plastic part that I was talking about before, and that's, you tend to come in at a little bit of an angle. You come in a little bit sideways, and then you have to manage that sort of trajectory, that sort of momentum that you have on sideways momentum, and also try to aim for the exit between the pole and the platform wall. So it is very much a tricky lineup to get right, and of course some of the very best can actually break their teeth on it, and case in point, Coco just did that in the last few rounds. In the meantime, it's Bospez and Rotrex with a pretty solid opportunity to cling on some very good points. 54.998 as well from Bez, not bad, which translates to about a 55.3 thereabouts, close to a 0.4 for Rotrex, which is not times to be scoffed at. It's still very respectable. And Enzo, unfortunately for him, did not manage to reach the finish line, and thus will plummet down to last place with 11 points, as we're going to be switching over to our next map, and I think that is going to be the map from Kisla. Yes, it is indeed. Wild Child, prepare for speedy grip turns on wood.
Yeah, this map, when I first saw it, my first thoughts went to Halfwood from the World Tour. Like, this is just immediately flashbacks to that as well. It is one of those tracks that snowballs so heavily. It matters so much what your entry and exit speed is out of it, because that makes such a world of difference on wood, because the acceleration is dependent on your speed. So the less you have of it, the less you will be able to actually catch up, or, well, if you have a good section, you might be able to use the wood to catch up to other contestants. So with the Wild Child, very aptly named as well, it's definitely the track that stands out the most because it has a heavy usage of the wood, and I'm all for it as well. Halfwood was a very devastating track, and in this one can be also because it can come down to the very end because it is a very pace map, and as said before, one of the easier maps, but definitely cannot be fooled. It might be only 50 seconds long, but it can go so wrong so quickly.
Yeah, I think we can also kind of briefly touch on the map pack length. It's probably so far the shortest map pack in terms of length, or maybe among the shortest map pack in terms of map length that we are being seen played on the Trackmania World Tour circuit, as we are through to round 1 out of 4, and already we see a bit of a mistake from Enzo, forced to respawn, and that means it will be all down to 3 players, and Baltics actually going on the attack just at the exit of the grass banking, but does lose a little bit of grip on the exit before heading onto the road, so he will be dropping back down to 3rd and conceding about half a second in the process. In the meantime, it will be Coco and Bozbez first and second. Currently, Boz leading the charts in the overall standings with 36 points. Coco on second place with 23 points. Will be looking for an opportunity to try and claw that gap back. And right now, he's in a very solid position to do so, with the Frenchman currently sitting about 3/10 or thereabouts ahead of Bozbez, that we're heading through to the final corner right now on the wood before the jump into the ring, which we've seen plenty of people actually miss, but this time it should be pretty much a-okay with a 49.918 driven by Coco. And if I take a look at the times, 49.918, that is 4/10 away from the current record, which is still, which actually has been beaten 2 hours ago. That was during the time attack, of course, with a .362 currently held courtesy upon that. But still, we're like right in the ballpark of like on-match pace kind of thing, because I tend to extrapolate from world record plus 0.5 to 0.6, and it tends to be right, and I think we're right in that butter zone right now.
Yeah, I think you're very right in that regard, because a good match time is sub 50. That is what people are going to be aiming for, is that sub 50, I think, throughout this entire tournament. But it is very difficult, because if you, especially some of the sausage drifts as well here, if you want to get them optimal, but on the shorter the track is, the more these little things start to matter. And we can already see that, yeah, Coco is just already over half a second behind, and technically Bozbez didn't do anything necessarily wrong. He was just having to resort to more safer lines, and we can see again now Coco 49.7, definitely enjoying this track a lot more conveniently to compare to the previous map. But I believe it is Coco's pick as well, so it would make sense that he's now crawling Bozbez back a bit compared to the previous track.
Yeah, that was indeed Coco's pick here, Wild Child, but I do say I kind of fear for him in the finish, not gonna lie, because that trigger is so important to get, but sometimes the way that people get the trigger on the finish tends to be a little bit scary. Case in point, the qualifiers for last year's Comic Con Baltics, where we saw Evon most famously just get at least 1/3 of the wheel through the trigger, and that was enough. Unfortunately here, Coco will not be able to salvage anything from that after that huge wall touch and a huge full stop pick from Enzo just behind, so at least there will be 1 extra point up for grabs for the ex-Easy Dream player. But now it's Boz's time to shine, and Boz's time to actually assert dominance over the other opponents here on this particular server, currently sitting at 48 points and close to the halfway mark, actually, because remember, we're not on 100 points, we're on 120 points actually for finalist status. Boz negotiating the final jump, and it will be a time of 50.188, just maybe a smidge slower compared to what he would have actually liked to actually go for. Currently, we also see Baltics in second place, third place for Coco, and Enzo did reach the finish line, but only with a few milliseconds to spare, I'd wager, so still 3 points going to the man from SPB, currently sitting at the bottom of the standings. And Boz, I mean, we can call it halfway mark, 58 out of 120.
Yeah, that is looking rather good. I mean, Bozbez is definitely enjoying the most important quality that you want to have, consistency. That is what you want to see most. If you can just get these rounds going, just you sort of get into a flow of things, you know, and then the pace will come itself as well. And we can see again, Coco falls a bit behind alongside Enzo. Bozbez just casually driving, doesn't have to do much. He knows he's having a comfortable lead. I don't know how much Bozbez flicks through the UI as well. I'm sure maybe Epos can enlighten us as well. I see him in chat as well, or other players. Some people tend to just do a microsecond and they see every information they want. Some people just quickly keep an eye on it more and then go on further with the business, or you just play with the UI on, you know, which I do because it's just good information and I can't be bothered to press an extra button.
I mean, we have all got our ways to actually like play with the, whether with the UI or HUD on or off. I tend to flick it on or off from time to time because I do like a little bit more of a decluttered kind of thing, but sometimes UI can be more cluttered than what you would actually really like it to. But that's an entire debate altogether. In the meantime, we're going to be heading into our third map, which is going to be Karluki's Venue. Quick score recap, 68 points for BossBez, who's past the halfway point now, 53 points for Coco in second place, and then 34 for Rotrex, 20 points back from that second place, which is worthy of qualification directly to the Vilnius offline events. And then, of course, Enzo currently sitting in 20th place. Not having the best time so far, but that's got to be expected, especially when you've got two front runners very much and heavy hitters at the helm of that particular match.
Yeah, and also something I did notice when I was looking at this track as well. This is a lot faster paced than your usual Karluki maps. It has a lot of, you know, you have the reactor grass sections. It's a very fast map. There aren't many sections where you have slower parts where you, for example, when you look at the tracks like Melohi by Whiskey, or, you know, even Mouchage Roquette has some slower segments as well. So it is the start is the only one that, you know, stands out from being a very, I wouldn't say awkward, but it is a very one of those starts that you have to nail it, because it's the most important 10 seconds of the track. The rest becomes more of a fast pace, and of course the rally dirt segment as well. But if you can get this right, you can already get a nice lead for yourself, and the rest should start to go well. As we see Coco bumping around a bit then and there, but BossBez is still keeping up with him. But good pace by Coco. But this is where the track really just speeds up in pace, just full speed, going to reactor grass and dirt, and that's where the race begins.
Yeah, this is where the race begins. And plus, this is also a track, especially on that second and third sector, where you see a lot of shifting of the placement of the car, and a lot of shifting from one banking to a flat back to another banking, and etc., which can sometimes unsettle the car if you're not careful. So you got to be very prepared for those kind of situations to unfold. As currently, it is Coco who's more than prepared to resist the assault of BossBez in that third and final sector, and the Frenchman takes the win despite that pole hit, which could have been so costly. 49 millisecond of a difference of 53.365 at the end of that versus a 0.414 then for BossBez. And Rotrex, who had a little bit of an oopsie at the start, did manage to finish the round and come home in third, if I do believe correctly. Currently sitting in third with 38 points, and Boss continuing on his merry way, even though he did not get the full fat 10 points.
Yeah, it wasn't the full 10, but yeah, it's also something that I noticed as well when I was looking at the figure. I even have like my own little notebook in front of me as well with the notes as well, and it is something that I think when the drivers get even closer and closer in quality, that end drift, you can take it so safe, but it can be such a boost of speed that you can definitely snipe. As we saw, technically BossBez was closing ever so slightly towards Coco, but he was too far away to make really any advantage of that. But here now we can see again, this time Coco is the one chasing BossBez, but you can see how much speed difference can be there. But can BossBez actually take advantage of the speed? No, they seem to be equal, even Coco having a bit more. So that's where you cannot really catch up. But Coco at least making, you know, his work a bit easier. You know, the more points he gets, the more closer he will get to finalist mode as well, and can quickly finish up this match. Of course, they have almost double the points of Rotrex and Enzo, so it should be a pretty clear cut for them as well. But you can never ease off, because maybe you can have such a tilter that everything can go wrong, and then all of a sudden Rotrex is right behind you in points.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just as a quick side note, 53.058 driven by Coco. That's around 3/10 away from the current record, which is a 52.7. And I guess we are right in the zone where players want to be. They want to be in the low 53s, either points, ideally 0.0s to 0.1s at the very maximum. And of course, if you get a 53, then it's pretty much chicken PC territory at this point. But yeah, Coco having had a solid race with BossBez, Boss carrying a lot of speed in that long left-hander, but in the previous round, he was all out of whack through that grass reactor boost spot, which enabled Coco to catch up and eventually overtake him to get the 10 points for himself. And right now, Boss in with a shot of actually retaliating and getting another 10 points for himself, but he's looking very slow and barely grazes the wall at the ending. And thus drops down the third, forced to respawn. He will drop down the last. That's such a shame to have that just at the exit of the final corner as well. And Coco will be like, Well, I will take the 10 points. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll continue and we'll be tying with you. So 83 points apiece. And you can see the gap is pretty much just a world between the top two and the bottom two. Close to 40 points, actually. 35, if my calculations are correct, between Hotrex and the joint first place of Coco and BossBez.
Yeah, and we saw as well, if one was keeping an eye on Coco's POV as well, he had more speed and he might have actually been able to caught up in the end as well. But Coco now finds himself in 4th position, so from first to last, we always love to see it, a classic as well. But everybody's having a bit of a interesting round. I believe only BossBez and Rotrex are really keeping up the pace here, and I believe even BossBez is not on the most fastest run as well. Not that he really needs to right now, but he cannot really afford another one of those end moments as well. People really want to push this end because you do want that extra speed, and this time BossBez does get it through and gets a 53.1. Still pretty fast. It didn't feel as fast, but this is where I think the Karluki's map can be a bit deceiving.
Yep.
It starts off very slow and then it just ramps up in speed all of a sudden, and then it's just, you kind of lose track of time unless you're keeping a good eye on the checkpoints. But BossBez at least takes the lead for now, and Coco following behind with Rotrex and Enzo. Close. Well, no, I was about to say close by, but close in spirit is probably the best way.
He is there in spirit, and he does still cling on and continues to play the rounds, which is very important on his perspective, especially when you've got mistakes from Coco like we've seen in the previous round, because that is opportunities for big points that are just coming in, even though they might not be that many when it comes to playing against people like Boss and Coco, and they will continue to get stronger and stronger, those opportunities, whenever there will be one of these two that will be finishing their finalist mode status, which is going to be approaching very soon. Even more so for BossBez, currently sitting at 93 points. Coco just a bit behind at 87. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see how these two will get on. And now everyone gets on, especially Hotrex on 3rd place with the Baltic flick from Vixa and that risky fin that I do enjoy watching very much. It is a great spectacle to actually see players try to go for godly snipes on that particular one, and yeah, seeing it being executed not flawlessly, but on a pretty high success rate, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, if it flows well, if you stick with your line, it will flow exactly as it's supposed to. But of course, we always have to have that the token ice map in every competition. It is unavoidable, so it is one of those cases where a lot of this track will come down to those flicks. And also the ice itself, because the end, it's such a snowball as well. I've seen, for example, when I was looking at the replays of this track, the difference in the speed that you can get from that flick, it can be such a time loss or a time gain. So if you can get it right here, let's see if there's any difference here. Well, Coco and BossBez get it pretty much identical, so there isn't really much to differentiate for them. But we see Rotrex wasn't really far behind, but a bit of a different flick, and he's already finds himself almost close to 0.3 behind. So that's where the difference can come into play. And of course, with the ice, well, it's always an equalizer. That's what I always call it, to be honest. But for now, at least, Coco and BossBez pretty equal as we get to the second half of the track.
All right, currently we do see them locking horns and locking wheels, I guess we could say that pretty much. The good old France versus England battle, which does feel like a bit of a Six Nation rugby match, I gotta say. A little. I was almost close to saying that in during the whilst I was watching the April Cup. And what a landing from BossBez. That's such an unfortunate one to have. He had a big slowdown, maybe just landing over the crest, having the plank basically just rubbing a little bit, and that was enough for Coco to actually come back in and snipe him at the finish to get the 10 points for himself. And thus it will be 2 points of a deficit just between the top two right now. Such a bummer to have that happen for BossBez, even though he still has plenty of opportunities to continue extending that lead, as we did see Rotrex falling a little bit by the wayside here at the start of round number 2.
Yeah, I believe what happened there was that it looked to me that BossBez landed quite in the middle of the block, so I believe he actually did get a landing bug there on the landing. He shouldn't have lost that much speed even with a wonky landing, unless he really got a really awkward slowdown there. To me, it looked like an actual landing bug because he landed right in the middle of those 2 blocks. But that was just a split of a second, so I might have missed that there. But for the time being, BossBez again finds himself in first position. Nothing really should be worrying, you know. Would be nice for him, of course, to get first position. That would be Always nice to win a match, no matter who your opponents are, and especially when you are up against Coco, who's again on your tail end. So you hope to not have that same thing happen again, but you go a bit too wide and hit the wall on the right side. Who built that there? You could have at least, you know, shoved it a bit to the side, given people more room to finish, but that's there to, you know, to emphasize that you have to get the right line.
I bet you whoever built that wall on the right-hand side didn't get the planning permission and just did that on the cheap. I swear to God, he illegally built a wall. Anyway, let's go back on to the racetrack. And yeah, that was an unfortunate one for BossBez. 2 for 2, where he just gets absolutely done by the ending. One a little bit unfortunate to have, but then the other one, which he went a little bit over to the right-hand side, and yeah, just a full stop into the wall. Thankfully, he had enough of a gap to actually warrant himself a second place. So yeah. Currently still sitting, well, he does not longer have the lead. He currently sits 2 points behind Coco, who has taken the reins of the match score-wise with this round and the next round left to go here on the Baltic Flick. Before we switch maps in, unfortunately for Coco, we exit a little bit too wide, too late from the ice slide, and thus we will be sending that round in the bin and allowing BossBez to inherit first place and get the 10 points that he was due for 2 rounds in a row here. Unless we might see something happening. Third time's the charm maybe for BossBez. Surely. Does get the flick, gets it properly, does not get the weird slowdown of the landing, and there we go. 58.817, and BossBez will be crossing the threshold of 110 points. We're just 5 points away for finalist here. He does need at the very least a second place. Otherwise, it will be the big old 119.
I mean, it's all part of the master plan by Coco. He knew he needed 3 points to get to 110, so if he wins this round, he will get to finalist mode with BossBez possibly as well. So it's all part of the plan here. And third time is indeed the charm for BossBez, so congratulations to him. Hopefully he will be happy with that now. Hopefully he can now win another round, or because if Coco now wins this round, as I said, he will be in finalist mode with BossBez. Unless BossBez has another incident in the end and Rotrex and Enzo are able to overtake him there. So yeah, it is a possibility to have a double finalist going into the next few rounds here to decide who will be first and who will be second. BossBez at the moment with a better line. Coco again hits that same part after that flick. He goes a bit too inside and he's not able to recover. So BossBez now looking to go into a sole finalist position as Enzo, it feels like he's so far behind, had to DNF already. And Coco, well, he will be coming in third, but that won't be enough to go into finalist mode compared to BossBez, who gets also the best time of the round before going into finals.
Yeah, 58.7, which is right within the ballpark of what you were expecting race pace to be, especially when you actually compare it to the 58.2 from Stuff that was driven during qualifying. And yeah, it seems as though the theme for that particular run of the Baltic Flick is that mistakes come in pairs, because twice we've seen mistakes at the ending from BossBez, and twice we've seen mistakes at the exit of the mounting ice slide from Coco. So yeah, both of these kind of like neutralizing each other, and BossBez now in with a shot of actually getting his ticket to Vilnius already here on the first round of Melohi from Whiskey.
Yeah, it is. Whiskey loves his RPG, and it's one of his favorite things to do is to add RPG elements to a track that is a competitor. I do like it as well, but it can be one of those where it can go easily so wrong. Like it was mentioned before as well by SRK and Turbo, the gear already at the start, this reactor penalty section as soon as you come into play as well. And I get to see as well that one of my I just noticed something from the corner of my end. It distracted me, but for the time being at least, I do like this track. I've enjoyed these type of RPG maps or RPG style-esque maps that the Whiskey builds, and Melohi definitely is there as well. And also you gotta love a bit of a flick towards the end, which definitely cannot go wrong in match.
Yeah, sort of a quarter barrel roll, I guess we can call it that when it comes to attacking the ending there on Melohi, as we are starting the first out of 4 possible rounds here on Melohi. That depends on whether Enzo and Rotrex can actually take advantage of significant mistakes that could be happening from the top 2, and whether these mistakes actually happen first. But in the meantime, we do see the red trigram on BossBez's car with the number 1 attached to it at the previous split. Oh, Rotrex that was looking a little bit tight here through the transfer, but he does make it through unscathed at the other side and doesn't lose a lot of time, actually. Manages to keep himself within 0.2 seconds from the leader, as we do see an attack from Coco right now for the lead of the race, trying to deny BossBez from finishing that final status, but went a little bit too wide and scrubbed off a bit too much speed on the exit of the reactor grass part. So he will be dropping down not to second, but to third, as Rotrex takes the opportunity to move into second place and get the 6 points for himself. We go on to the final few jumps with BossBez having a solid 0.4 of a second to half a second buffer to his nearest pursuer. And we go through the final jump, and that's it. BossBez is qualified for the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 in Vilnius with a time of 51.717, half a second ahead of his nearest competitor. And that is very, very solid. GG to BossBez.
Yeah, well done indeed. 51.7, a very solid match time as well. But we, of course, in time attack, we saw the online records already demolished. But a 51.7, a very nice and clean run for rounds perspective. And now Coco, well, he is forced to do at least one round to get into finalist and then one extra to secure it as well. This quarter pipe jump as well, I forgot to mention, it is such a nice way to gain some time on your opponents if you can get it absolutely buttery smooth. But for the time being, it is Coco to take the lead. Does clip on the inside on the drift, so Rotrex is the one to deny. I don't think anybody else apart from BossBez and Coco has actually won a round, so this could be a first where Coco is struggling as well. He's stuck in gear 3, so he's not gonna probably even make the jump or has to go really high to make it. Just barely makes it. Rotrex could be on the verge of getting his first round win here and possibility to deny Coco for, well, if the math goes wrong, has to do at least 4 or 5 more rounds of this in order to at least have some success, because Coco is now in finalist. And good luck, Rotrex. You're gonna need it.
You gotta start somewhere, right? I mean, that's already a pretty solid going to be able to take a round away from one of the players that might be likely to finish in the top 2 here this match. So we'll see if he's able to capitalize on that momentum here, Rotrex. But yeah, Coco, an unfortunate series of rounds where he just does not feel it, and that's another one, third time that he does not manage to get it right here at any point during the track. And this time it came as early as the transfer jump, and he knows that there's no point of driving the round anymore. He decides to instantly retire because he's already in finalists. There is no point to be gained, and now it's just basically Rotrex versus Enzo, and we see a clear bias towards Rotrex in terms of pace, I think, because yeah, the Frenchman's looking very solid right now, as we are definitely coming back. Small turbulence, don't worry about it. Currently sitting 0.8 of a second ahead of Enzo. Enzo also looking to make a stand at the moment, but a little bit too far. I think it's going to be another 10-pointer going the way of Rotrex, who's going to be moving on to 99 points with a time of 52.821.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you thought the match was over. We have just started here. He's on 99 points. Unfortunately, these on the 9. So even if he wins now 2 rounds in a row, he will be on 119, which is always the bitter pill to swallow, because that's the worst point total. Like, you're just like 99 points or 119 or 100. Oh, but Enzo hits the pole there. So it will be between Rotrex and Coco to decide here. So we'll see how things will go. Can Coco now get a clean round going? Rotrex actually is been enjoying this track quite a bit. You know, he's a lot more consistent compared to the other tracks. So this could not be as easy as Coco would have loved it to be, because Rotrex is giving him a hard trouble, and Coco, he's trying to push, but Rotrex is just keeping up with him, if not even going faster than Coco on these rounds. But now they're just neck and neck, really nothing to separate the two. But this will be the part where it matters, because you really want to get as much speed going. Who gets the lower landing here? Rotrex will go very low. Oh, not as low as you would have loved to, but I think Coco has the more speed here. Yeah, he has the better line, unless he fumbles in the end here, which he does not. He secures first position, gives Rotrex a bit of false hope in the end, but he secures second positions and qualifies for the Comic-Con LAN Baltic offline stage. So good luck. Well done to BossBez and Coco. They have secured their matches. Now we have to see if any other matches are actually ongoing.
There are going to be matches ongoing, and I do. Sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, I was gonna say I was very positively impressed by Rotrex's performance. Actually, he held his own very well towards the end of that particular matchup, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to see what he can do in the lower bracket. In the meantime, I was looking at the other matches that are ongoing. There's match 1 and 2 in this particular way that is currently ongoing, and I think match 1 could be interesting. Stutz and Vinch battling against each other, and Vinch was looking to be pretty spicy at times in the time attack. So I think we should just head over straight to there. What do you think?
Yeah, we could take a look here. I believe there's also the second match where you have Wisi and Jan, I quickly jump up there, and it is pretty clear cut there as well. So we might actually jump into that first match to take a look at how's the Dutchies doing, because this is basically a Dutchy matchup. So we'll see how things are going.
I mean, we're heading in at a pretty important time, because look at this gap between first and second, 98 and 91, just a 7-point gap between Vinch and Stofts, with currently advantage to the man from Atlatech. Very, very solid. I mean, I knew that Vinch was a very solid player in his own right. I mean, he showed it already at the Gamers Assembly at the beginning of the season, back at the end of March, where he actually went all the way to the final against Shay, Richie, and Tween. He finished in P4 in that particular final, but still valuable points to be taken in the championship standings. And right now, he does have a shot of actually continuing to extend that points haul by backing a direct spot to Vilnius. But right now, he's not looking so hot on the on this round here on Meloya, as it's currently the Dutchies, Stofts and Tarpor, first and second in that order, and currently Stofts looking to just run away with it, running away with it ahead of Tarpor by 0.4 of a second. Let's see what the time will be at the end of that particular round. It will be a 52.191 for the Dutchman from Wild GG. And just a quick look again at the times from Melohi. That's yeah, I mean, pretty sedate stride, I gotta say, given that the record is still a 51-3 that we've driven during the time attack. That was driven in a time attack by Mime. But yeah, I mean, so far, Stofts managing to continue clinging on, and Vinch managing to continue also having a very solid haul of points for himself, and we're less than 20 away from finalists at this rate.
Yeah, we are, and in the fact as well that nobody in that round got 80 medals, so clearly these people have not practiced. They should go back to the booth. You can't even get an 80 medal on a competition map. Maybe you have to try again. All jokes aside, it seems that this match has definitely evolved in a very different path, because when I was looking at this matchup as well, I thought that it would be Stufs having a bit more comfortable time with Vinch and Tarpor, maybe battling it out a bit more, but it seems that Vinch has definitely been those online times have been converting really well into rounds times as well, because again, we can see Vinch is in the lead, Tarpor is second, and Stufs is the one that finds himself in third position, and it clearly shows that Vinch, not only is he fast in time attack, he's also fast in rounds, and that is something to keep an eye out as well for the offline event as well, because he's cruising towards his win against Stufs, Tarpor, and Seymouse. The Dutchies are in struggle against the Frenchmen.
Yeah, currently also having a solid round, dipping below the 52s at the end with a 51.9, courtesy of the man from Atlatech, as we'll be moving over to Wild Child, and having that as a decider when you're close to finalist, yeah, that could be interesting. I know that it's been described as arguably the easiest in the map pack, but you're not, as I like to say, anything can happen in Trackmania, and usually does. So you're not safe from having a bit of a moment, a bit of a speech bubble moment sometimes from one of the opponents that could either go your way or have a speech bubble moment yourself that could actually work against you. So it'll be interesting to see. In the meantime, quick score recap: Vinch 112, Stofts on 105, Tarpor in third place at 90. So he still has a little bit of catching up to do, but he's not too far away to be considered completely done for. Unfortunately, that isn't the case for Zaymouse, currently sitting at 51.
Yeah, but that bodes well for Tarpor as well, because even if you lose this matchup or do not get into the top two, you will be going the lower. And the fact that Tarpor is able to keep up the pace or in points with Vinch and Stufs, of course we haven't seen the entire match, so we don't really know what really happened. Maybe Stufs was just not really getting the rounds in that he wanted, and not really feeling it in the first matchup as well. So it's very hard to tell, but it bodes well for Tarpor if he ends up in the lower bracket, so he could be a very hot contender to still qualify for the LAN. But for the rest of it, at least, Vinch and Stufs are the ones that are chasing the finalist mode, and we see immediately Stufs is the one to make the early mistake, clipping the pole and giving everybody another chance to get more points, and allowing Tarpor to get ever so closer compared to Stufs and Vinch, which is good. And Tarpor is the one in the lead as well, so it's a very turbulent match, and honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen. The only thing I do know is that Vinch just comes out of nowhere and overtakes Tarpor.
Yeah, I mean, he had a much better run out of the early wood parts, I gotta say, Vinch, in the middle sector, which enabled him to snowball that much more momentum, as Tarpor takes a huge slowdown as well, and Zaymouse just flies over into the outside retaining wall at the Sausage Road section, and Vinch, in the meantime, will be crossing the line to take finalist status for himself. Goes for a little bit of a low jump, maybe a bit lower than I would like from the spectating point of view for himself, but 49.892, and he will be crossing the 120-point threshold, and finalist status will be his. And Stofts, yeah, unfortunately, it was way before the poll that he had that clip. It was at the very first transition from wood to wood, at the very start of the map. We're going to be pointing that out here in just a second from the perspective of Vinch. Not here, it's the transition that comes right after. He had a bit of a clip with the left-hand side of the car, which completely tanked all of his momentum for the man from Team Wild, so that's pretty much what did the deal for him. And what's doing the deal for Zaymouse is another very significant accident at the very start of that particular round. So it's going to be Stufs and Tarpor, actually a Dutch duo, 1-2, a Dutch duet, rather, currently trying to prevent Vinch from closing it out just yet. And currently Tarpy could be the best friend of Stufs, and Vinch could also be the best friend of Stufs after having that mess up like that midway through the the dual 90-degree left-handers in the wood, which is extremely tough to negotiate, especially with the increased grip of wheel, where you have to be very, very careful with those twitchy reactions that the car has. But Stufs takes the lead and takes the win with a 49.775 for himself, and thus we will be in a double finalist. 2 people on finalists, 2 places for finalists up for grabs. Now, who will be getting that there first is the big question.
Yeah, that is going to be the more interesting part. Tarpor is only 2 round wins away, or maybe, you know, a few second places away from getting into finalist mode as well. And if ideally, I think Stufs would like to get this done as well, because I feel like he hasn't had the best match in his own eyes. Because if he's struggling to, well, of course, I will have to give props to Vinch and Tarpor for keeping up as well. But I feel like Stufs maybe, you know, he had that time attack, you know, down, but maybe Rounds hasn't treated him so well. But so far, at least, everybody's cooking this round really well, where it matters the most. Vinch, Stufs, even Tarpor is right in the mix. Tarpor goes for a very low line. Stufs absolutely attacks it on the inside as well. Vinch coming in. There's so many different lines. Everybody's coming left, right, and center. Vinch is the one that gets the short end of the stick. Tarpor is the only one that can deny his fellow Dutchman the outside, well, the victory here. But Stufs is not going to let it go. Gets it across the line, first position, and a first ticket to the to the offline finals of the Comic-Con. So well done to Stufs. Was a bit behind, but you know, it only matters when you cross the finish line.
Yeah, exactly. And we did see Vinch basically giving it all he's got, trying to give Stufs a run for his money, especially in the middle sector, just trying to go for the Uber dive just before going outside the little ring sector that I like to call it at the transition outside of the grass. But unfortunately went a little bit too wide and thus had the right front hit the corner wall of one of the castle blocks that has been used for decoration here. So yeah, the Frenchman did not manage to get that ticket first, but he has plenty of opportunity. He's still 14 points ahead of Tarpor, but he must not sleep on that one too soon, because as long as Tarpor denies him, Tarpor also gets points. So that means he will be getting closer and closer to finalist himself. And right now, it is Tarpor currently still holding a lead and currently holding strong versus the attacks of Vinch in second place. And Vinch forced to try and maybe go for a desperate move towards the final part of the track, the final few blocks, as Tarpor does go a little bit wide there, but manages to keep it reined in and keep it contained within the track limits. And look at this, Tarpor denying Vinch, who outright misses the finish, 50.958, or 598 rather. I got my numbers mixed up, but nevertheless, the results are the same. Tarpor wins, plus 10 points for him, just 4 points away from finalist, 1 deny away from getting the finalist status on his hands. Looks like that second spot in Vilnius is not as clear-cut as we might have thought it had been.
Yeah, it might not be quite yet, but of course we are moving on to Musha by Roquette, probably the most difficult track in the pool as well. So this is where you separate the men from the boys and the finalists from the lower bracket or a ticket to the offline finals. Of course, in the meantime, while we have been watching other matches, when this match ends, we will be done with the first set of matches from the upper third, because Wizzy and Jan were the ones that got through from match number 2, and from match number 3 we have Pinks and Snow. So in the lower bracket we will see tomorrow Goyo and Sven, and Maraintje and Kresmas. So that will be that, and once we get to see the conclusion of this, well, at least we see the first 8 who will be playing tomorrow as well to keep us entertained.
Yeah, indeed, and this is it. This is pretty much the deciding stage, because unless there is some alignment of planets or some catastrophic thing happening on either side of the opponents, I don't think Zaymouse is really going to be having any kind of impact. I hate to be the Debbie Downer here, but about half the points to recoup. It's going to be a little bit of a tough proposition, I'm not sure. But yeah, we're going to be seeing how that goes with round 1 out of 4 potential rounds here on Mosha by Rocket. We're currently following along with Tarpor, the chaser, here in this match, currently sitting on 116, 4 points away from finalist status, whilst Vinch has the red trigram on his car, and he has had it for a good long while now. I think he was among the first to reach finalist status along with Schufts, and he so far has not had the opportunity to close it out properly, and already through the end of that first sector with that wet plastic sideways bit, as I've always been referring it to. It's always a little bit tricky, and you can see that Vinch has lost a little bit more momentum compared to Tarpor, so it's very much not over just yet, and Tarpy with the godlike left-hander takes over the lead from the Frenchman, and that looks like we might be heading into a double finalist unless there are a lot of shenanigans in the final sector, and that's unfortunate for Vinch. Does get the cruise control skip, but he had a big slowdown at the dirt part preceding it, and thus Tarpor will be closing this out. No! No way that just happened! Tarpor! He had that in the bag, and unfortunately messed up the alignment, had a clip at the junction in plastic blocks, and thus got sent out into the ring at the final checkpoint. And thus, Vinch will be joining Stufts in Vilnius for the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 offline finals. GG, but... Oh my god.
That's a bit of a rough one. My heart goes out to Tarpor.
Like,
he had such an easy lead.
I gotta feel for him. You gotta feel for the poor man. He had it in the back. That could have been a double finalist. That was so exciting.
It would have been a possibility. I feel like if he had gotten that round, Tarpor would have had the mental advantage going to the next round as well, and he looked to be doing it. But that to have that happen in the end, you're gonna probably kick yourself, be like, come on, how do I mess up that? It's just one drift, man. One drift and I couldn't do it. But hey, props to Tarpor. If anything, if he can look back on this match, he can look at it and be like, you know what? I'm just gonna bulldoze my way through the lowers and nobody's gonna stop me.
Exactly. He's still, I was like, okay, I mean, I could have gone for the perfect run, but unfortunately it didn't happen. That's okay. I still got the safety net to latch onto with the lower brackets, so... yeah, now it's going to be no rest for the wicked for Tarpor. He wants to bag that spot in Vilnius. As I wonder if we're already done with all 4 matches. I wonder if match 1 is still ongoing.
The other matches, we are done. We have the 5, 6, 7, and 8 to come after we are done with this little segment, and a bit of a break as well. So
yeah, actually, this time, do you have any closing thoughts? I learned from the previous iteration of that scenario happening, but I think I got pretty much everything out that I had to say. On the first match, very impressed by Rotrex's performance. I'm really looking forward to see what he cooks up in the lower bracket further on in the qualifier. And Tarpor, case of a swing and a miss, really, at the ending, but overall, very, very solid. Solid performance from Tarpor. Even though we only saw the tail end of it, we can see the opening rounds and the way we got built up to that situation that we've got now. But still, I think Tarpor could be one of the key players to watch out for, if not one of the 4 heavy contenders for a spot in Vilnius. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, he looked really good. I'm looking forward to him. Tomorrow, he should be very comfortably enjoying success as well. But for the time being, we will be going on a bit of a break, then we will go in the second set of matches to find the last 8 for today to conclude our shenanigans for today as well. So don't go too far. One more set of matches to come before we find out who will be getting their ticket to the offlines and who will have to come back tomorrow to get that final jab at the tickets. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
All right, stay with us. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final moments, I guess we could say, of day 1 here on the Comic-Con Baltics 24 qualifier for the Trackmania tournament. Once again, I'm Thomas Mengos, aka G-Geek, and alongside me is Katie, of course, and we're going to be heading into the second wave of upper bracket matches that are directly qualifying for the Vilnius offline finals. And yeah, the match that we're going to be picking up is going to be one comprising of Holo, the other Atletech player currently playing in this particular qualifier. We do also have Epos, which we've seen a little bit earlier on during the stream, as well as Johan Klan from Denmark, and Henkan, one of the surprises of the World Championship last year with his association with Betatos, the Gravity Pivo Association, which went all the way to the, I think it was the middle stage of the World Championship, when ended up in the top 16 worldwide as a duo, which is definitely nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, it was one of the fairy tales, I would say, of a duo during that time as well, and it was a pleasure to watch them as well, and both players did well. At that time, of course, it was Betatos that was the one to carry more, but Henken has definitely just, you'd say, sort of sprouted from that a lot more. He's been a lot more involved in competition. You see him a lot more in the top end as well, and you see him here as well. Of course, you have Johan Klan, who has made every single Comic-Con Baltics so far, so looking to make it 3 out of 3. If he's able to do it today in the upper bracket, it's a bit of a tougher tale because he does have Epos and Holo to contest with, and Henken is definitely not a pushover as well. So maybe he has to think about his thoughts towards the lower, but it is still possible. But I think Epos and Holo are the ones to look out for, with Henken and Johan maybe being a bit of a spanner in the works.
Yeah, I feel like Henkan is going to be playing more of an outsider role, maybe a bit more of an impactful outsider compared to Johan. I mean, this is more my opinion here, and more of it, maybe a bit of recency bias effective due to the performance I've seen in the World Championship, especially for the Swede. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to favorites, Epos and Holo are definitely going to be at the top of the tier, especially Epos coming off the back of a really great performance in the Monthly Cup last week, where he went all the way to the grand final and finished in P4 as a result of that, behind, I think it was Binks, then Pack, and then third Frenchman was, it was not Otak, it was Richie in P3, there we go. I was trying to remember the last few. As the picks and bans are done, Epos picks Meloi as the opener, then we do have Holo picking Wildchild as the second map, third map picked by Johan is Musha, then Venue for map number 4, and the Baltic Flick will be the final map of the rotation.
Yep, a pretty well-rounded start as well. We good thing is we don't have to switch map. We can just stay here on. So everybody got a warm-up done. They've been on the server, so everybody has no excuse now of making mistakes because they've been warming up on this track for a fair bit now. So, but I do see that I was just spectating Epos. He's still hitting the pole at the start, so maybe not quite in the match quite yet, but at least, you know, they don't have to really worry about warm-up, but they do get an extra one just to get that, you know, get those jitters out of the system before you get into the actual match.
Yeah, exactly. As we are just going to be heading into our opening map. Well, I guess we're already on there, so we can already give you a little bit of a preview, and we already get the game underway. It is going to be, of course, Whiskey's map, Melohi, which we've already seen, of course, at the conclusion, towards the conclusion of the last map that we have actually casted. The last match we casted with Vinch and Stufs coming on their finalist status rounds, with Stufs having taken that finalist to win here on this very map, and yeah. Plenty of opportunities to actually catch back up, where you can actually reduce air times, trying to get the most efficient transitions possible, and this is where you can gain a lot of time here. And also a couple of sections where you do need a certain amount of speed, like the pole jump between CP4 and 5. I found you need about 250 kp. I say kph, kilometers per hour, but of course it's more speed units that you can actually tell to actually clear the jump and land on that platform pole, I guess we can tell, or widen pole, so to speak, to actually make it through. And of course, the RPG, the more RPG feeling section with the checkpoint 9 sector, which I do really enjoy watching, which does remind me of Edge, of course, from the World Championship map pack, to kind of tie this back in. And yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see as an opener, as we're getting started right here, right now, with Melohi for Henkan, Holo, Epos, and Johan Klan, all competing for 2 tickets to Vilnius.
Yeah, that will be the case for now. So let's see who gets off to a good start. Of course, this is a track that Epos did pick, so we will be keeping a close eye on him in particular. But for the time being, it is one of the things that this track, and of course that has come into prominence in the last year as well with a lot of this, is these road grass blocks. they have these little bumps, and those can really just make a little bit of a difference, just lose you at 1 or 2 speed. Holo gets a bit of a clip there, now has the nose slide clip there as well, loses all a bit of speed, and the players that we thought would be first and second are currently finding themselves first and second from the back end, as Johan Glan is the one to take a very commanding lead, and Henkan, well, does concede for now, but it is Hepos and Holo chasing down Johan Glan, who's getting pretty much, well, I say that 3-10 points. He has a bit of a clip on the landing, and all of a sudden, Holo and Epos are 1 and 2, and nothing really changes because it just was a roller coaster ride throughout the end. They were last, they were first, they were last, and they were now second. But in the end, it's still Holo and Epos who are first and second, with Henkan and Johan with third and fourth.
Proof that nobody is safe due to that, due to everybody having a little bit of a moment with huge clips from Holo and from Epos at the jump at set point number 4. And we do seem to see a full stop pick. Yeah, it was from Johan Glan. Oh, that pull hit was so hard to see from the perspective of the other player. Henkan did clip at the very edge of the transfer, but so did Epos. So yeah, the Englishman not really managing to get a solid start right now for his match, so he might need to tank that map a little bit. Maybe it's a map that he doesn't really feel super comfortable on. Maybe again the first pick is just to get it out of the way so that he does not have to deal with it and later on in the rotation, and can actually focus on getting points on other maps. But right now it's going to be the Frenchman Holo in first place, but you can see Epos actually coming back and actually overhauling Henkan's second position right now as we go through the final corners, and the jump into the finish. It will be the Frenchman from Atletec taking the win with a 51.9, Epos in second, and Henkan a close third, actually about 2/10 behind, whilst Johan Glan will be crossing the line, or is he? 1 second. Uh-oh, that's a no pointer due to that full stop pick at the very start, at the first or second drop down there or thereabouts. And thus, the Dane from Split will only be leaving with 3 points at the end of the second round.
Yeah, and considering that in the first round he was close to winning it, it has not started off so well for Johan Glan, but if anything is to go by, you can always go up from there. Literally, because you have to go up the quarter pipe, with Holo being the one that gets a bit of a rough landing on the quarter pipe and loses all of his places, having to now play catch up to all of the 3 players up in front, and also gets a nose slide as well in the wall, not having the best time after that little fumble at the quarter pipe. So now Epos taking a good lead on his own map pick, and enjoying a bit of freedom, you know, a bit of fresh air. There's nobody really chasing him down. He can have a bit of time on his own, just to cruise his way into victory, hopefully not jumping off the block too early. And that is exactly that, with a 51.7 as well. Very good rounds time. Johan Glan gets second, Henkan third, and Holo does get to the finish, does get at least 3 points. So he doesn't go completely empty-handed into the next round, but it does allow Epos to just, you know, casually just walk away a bit from Holo.
Yeah, that's an early dent into the challenge of Holo for, at the very least, the lead. Currently top 2, he's still sitting about 7 points ahead of Henkan, so there's not really that much to worry about at the moment. But yeah, unfortunately, that's a clip at the edge of the transfer. Let's see if he does it again. No, decides to opt for a bit of a safer, higher line, but that's enough for him to actually clear it. Unfortunately for Johan Glan, we did not clear that quarter pipe jump, so he will be relegated to last place, about 5 seconds down on the rest of the field. And right now it's Epos having had a really solid start compared to the rest of the field, currently sitting about 0.3 of a second compared to the battle for the top 2 between Henkan and Holo. Holo having a little bit of a trouble trying to catch up to the Swede, but this time the Swede makes the job easy. He opens the door wide open as he goes a little bit too hot and too much of the sideways angle through the grass before the CP9 RPG section. Even though we do see a slowdown from Epos, the Englishman will not be under any worry. It's a 51.994 for the man for Blue Jays, taking another 10 pointers. 36 out of 40 points collected for Epos. Not too shabby. And yeah, we'll see Holo still sitting in second with about 25 points, 16 for Henkan and 9 for Johan Glan, as we'll be heading to our next map, which is going to be Wild Child. Once again, we go back to Wood and we go back to Kisla, cooking something very spicy.
Yeah, it was almost a perfect round. So if it weren't for that, you know, that first round 1 hectic start of everything in mind, I mean, Epos would have had almost a perfect set of rounds on his own map pick. So again, it shows that it does pay dividends to pick sometimes a good track to have. You get that early lead, you have a bit of breathing room, and you know, maybe you have to then you don't have to feel so bad when you one of your worst tracks comes up and you're like, oh god, well, at least I have these 10, well, in this case, 11 points that I can at least somewhat have a bit of a cushion on. But Wild Child, well, for some people, I love Child. For some people, the Child they want to forget. We'll see who it will be for one of these players. But for the time being, at least, the warm-up looks nice. Everybody's having a good time for the time being. But it is one of those cases where this track can really swing about, and hopefully Hepos, Holo, and Enkan and Johan Glan don't clip, hit, or drive into anything that is on the track, placed conveniently to be hit.
All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into the first round out of 4 here played on Wild Child. Just as a reminder, we're playing until 120 points for the finalist status due to the fact that this is a qualifying match for the offline finals in Vilnius. And as a quick score recap, you can see it on the left-hand side of the screen. 36 for Epos leading the charge, with 25 for Holo in second, 16 for Henkan, and Johan Klan in fourth, who's also going to be fourth in this round due to having a little bit of an accident at the start in the first sector. This will be 3 seconds down compared to the rest of the field, and right now you do see Henkan getting left behind quite significantly midway through the second sector, about a second down now compared to the duo of Holo and Epos, who are just going to be duking it out with each other for the benefit of 10 points. And again, Holo doing the same thing that Vinch did in the last match, where he went a little bit too wide on the exit and thus full stop it into the side of the castle. But what a crash from Epos, allowing Henkan to take the lead, and Holo in second place. Now can Henkan validate the 10-pointer? And thus, when the top 2 completely fall to the ground, it will be Henkan there to pick up the spoils and move on to 26 points. And Epos, what did you do? DNF, did he get stuck somewhere? Or was it just a rage quit at this point? But, man, that is so painful to see for Epos. Could have at least tried to maybe mitigate the gap diminishing between himself, Holo, and Henkan. But Henkan managing to get a solid operation for him with 26 points, just about 10 points away from second place right now.
Yeah, Epos maybe forgetting that there are safe finishes in the end. I did see him try to go for the risky finish because his respawn was very slow. So he tried to go for the risky finish, but maybe but he didn't make it. So he just decided, you know what, I don't think he's... I think he just thought that I'm not going to make it in time and thought he DNF'd. Probably he knows better than us, but it just looked to me in that case that, you know, he went for the risk, he didn't make it, and just thought, yeah, I don't have any more time to get into there for a second attempt, and go for it. But for the time being, Holo and Epos are the ones in 1 and 2, and Holo is the one to take the win here, with Epos getting second position. A very nice time. Sub 50 is always a great rounds time on this track, especially given how things can go quite quickly. Well, I did say that there's a lot of things placed on this track that can be hit, can be clipped, and can ruin your day, and we've seen pretty much every example imaginable only in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. Things tend to go kind of haywire whenever you're dealing with a Wild Child, like the map that Kisla just made up with the same name. But currently, Holo and Epos trying to basically continue to build the gap compared to the rest to prevent themselves from any nasty surprises. For instance, like safeguard themselves from a nasty bonk, like this one from Epos, for instance, or something that prevents them to finish. And though for now, the Englishman will still be on the road, albeit 1.5 seconds down compared to the leader, which is his fellow opponent, Holo. The man from Atletech currently sitting about 0.8 of a second ahead of Johan Klan, who's just a smidge ahead of Henkan. The Swede continuing to try and find maybe an opportunity to switch back, but right now it's looking to be a lot slower right now for him compared to Johan, and so Johan will be able to widen the gap to about 0.4 of a second. Holo, in the meantime, will be able to take the win with a time of 50.008, getting very close to that sub 50 mark, and +6 for Johan Klan, who desperately needs points at this rate, currently sitting on a mere 17, moving up to 23, and 33 for Henkan, who still manages to get a little bit of ground, who's past the quarter mark, I guess, from 3 out of 120 points needed, and currently Holo past the 50-point mark with 51.
Yeah, it is looking still rather comfortable for Holo and Epos. I don't think there is a really need. Well, I did say it was looking comfortable. Epos was comfortably doing a bit of a flick there. Baltic flick will be later, Epos. We'll get to that later on. But it seems that Holo and Epos, everybody's having a bit of absolute total combustion is happening. Johan Glenn also having a bit of a trouble. So the only people that have survived is Holo and Henkan. And Henkan didn't make any mistakes. He's just behind because he's trying to drive safe, which seems to be a working tactic. A lot better than Epos and Johan Glenn have. And Holo, at least, he's racking up those 10 points. You know, it's good deals. You know, he's grabbing them. You know, 2 for 1 Epos, Johan Glenn out. I'll take the victory, 10 points. That's the best deal I've seen on the market so far, and That's a bit of a wonky
Sorry.
ending still. But hey, it gets the job done. 10 points in the bag. Henken is second. Epos is third. And Johan Klon is fourth. So yeah, Wild Child being the wild track that it's supposed to be, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I was sorry for the off the cuff, like the raw reactions there, but already from the clip from the left rear of Epos's car, sending him into a flip, quote unquote barrel roll, effectively invalidating his run, and then the finish from Holo that almost saw him pretty much miss the trigger, but manages to get it anyway. So yeah, that was a bit of a hard time on that final round of Wild Child. In the meantime, we'll be heading over to Mosha by Rocket, arguably the most difficult one of the map pack, hitting right in the middle, so maybe a bit of a difficulty spike coming in this particular rotation of the map. After that, as a reminder, I do have the map order on hand. We'll be heading on to Karluki's venue before finishing off the rotation by the Baltic Flick, which is going to be at the very last slot of this particular rotation. And again, as a quick score recap, 61 for Holo, continuing to lead quite convincingly, 49 for Epos, 39 for Henkan, continuing to put up a fight, and 26 for Johan, who did get some points earlier on the Wild Child, but does need to get a little bit more than that.
Yeah, currently at the moment, if anything, we've seen it's not that people are fighting each other, it's more that they've been fighting the track, because the track has been getting a better end of the points. If track was actually playing the game, he would already be in finalist mode, I think, at this point, because he's been knocking people out left, right, and center. But we'll see how things will go. Of course, with a difficult track, sometimes it does allow, you know, even the more safer drivers to just gather some more points. But if Johan Klan clips the start already, and Holo just has disappeared from my vision as well, I'm also having a bit of a struggle at the start. You can already see these gaps coming up, and it's sort of an every man's race to survive at this point, because I feel like this is where it has boiled down to, because we haven't seen anybody really run away with it. Of course, Holo had a few good rounds in the previous track, but nobody has really just taken the helm of the track and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna win and win comfortably. But at least Epos is on a good start. Can anybody really catch up with him? Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully he doesn't pull a tarper in the end, and everything will go swimmingly for him. Looking good on the drift. Enkan as well. Holo trying to catch up as well, but so far it seems everybody will keep their positions. Nothing to really worry about. And Epos first, Henkan second, Holo third, and Johan Klan is fourth. So good points for Epos to run away and catch up. Well, not run away, catch up to Holo, who only got 4 in that round.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be all about trying to maximize the delta between yourself and your opponent when it comes to actually climbing back those gaps. And when it comes to all the points that you've mentioned, whilst we were witnessing the crash at the end of the first sector of both Johan Klan and Holo at the exact same checkpoint, right about here with the triangle line that Skifrik would be proud of, I think I can summarize all that you said down to one single word: attrition. It is very much a race of attrition that we're witnessing here, and perhaps more so than what we've seen in the previous matches that we've casted so far. And yeah, you can see that actually transpiring with people like Henkan able to actually catch up some very solid points to get a few second positions under his belt to actually make the gap not so bad and unbearable to deal with. But right now, it's not going to be looking to be that case, and Mr. Arrow has paid a visit to Epos and has decided to kind of slap him on the left rear, and Henkan unfortunately doesn't get cruise control, but hits the side of the cruise control block, which slows him down even more and allows Johan Klan to move up into second place. In the meantime, Holo is just seeing all that in the background. He's like, yeah, you know what, I'm just good, I'm just out of here, thank you very much. 55.092 for the Frenchman, taking the 10-pointer that he had missed a little bit earlier on here on Musha. Johan Klan, Enkan, and Epos in that order. And yeah, Epos, that gap will be widening as he can see it on the scoreboard, and that will be widening up to 13 points with both the top 2 players having passed the halfway mark.
Yeah, they are halfway there, but they have, I feel like there's more than half of work to be done in order to get into that position to actually secure your position as well. Because everybody has pretty much 13 points the difference. Only Johan Klan and Henkan have 14 points. So everybody's, you know, keeping social distancing is still a thing clearly in Trackmania. Henkan not so socially distancing with that light bulb, hits it. So it is up to Johan Klan to maybe deny some points from Holo and Epos. But it seems that Holo is the one now that has slowly woken up here and actually is trying to, you know, close it out and doesn't have moving on, as Epos want to take a very comfortable lead, and would you not believe it, the greedy complimenting a player strikes again, and immediately Hollow just dies and is out of the contention for any first position whatsoever, because Epos is the one to win, Johan Clan is second, third is Henkan, and right on cue, Hollow arrives to at least finish for 3 points.
Nah, you're not at fault here. You know what that is? He decided that in the middle of the run, he's like, I feel like I could become an astronaut, and decided to have a go himself. So that's pretty much what happened here for the man from Atlatech. But yeah, he still holds on to the lead so far in the points, 78-72. Epos grateful for that opportunity to actually catch back up and actually wind the gap back down to just 6 points between himself and his fellow opponent from France. And this time it will be Hollow making the job a lot easier once again for Epos as early as sector number 1 with that hit of the neon sign. I know neon aesthetic is pretty good, but maybe that's taking it a little bit too literally here for Hollow, as we do see Epos having taken the lead right now as a result of that huge crash for the man from Atlatech. In the meantime, 4/10 behind, we do find Johan Clan continuing to pull a gap on Henkan, although he does go a little bit wide there. That might have been a bit too close for comfort for the Dane, as we do follow along with the Swede. Henkan trying to find a way to claw some of that time back on Johan Clan, but right now he has to pray for someone to actually fumble at the ending if he wants to upgrade those 4 points to a potential 6 points. Johan does go a little bit wide though, but he will be enough ahead of Henkan to guarantee that second place. 55.185 for Epos in the meantime, who takes the 10-pointer and allows himself to move up into the lead of the race by 1 singular point, 82-81 for Hollow.
Yep, so it all looked very nice until it wasn't so nice for Hollow. From that round, I'm already thinking, I just hope to God that I don't jinx, curse, or whatever way ruin somebody's race when I'm casting in the offline event, because people are there and they might have some angry little faces looking over the monitors at me, being like, oh, hold up, I see you. You're not too far from the monitor. I can come back later on to you. But for the time being, it's good fun. But hopefully Epos and Hollow can still secure. They have now a pretty massive lead from that track as well, with 25-24 points respectively. So it is a lot of work to be done for Henkan and Johan Clan to even think of catching up. Of course, the finalist mode can give a bit of time for them to catch up. But if Epos and Hollow like to hold hands and go to the offline finals together, I don't think there is much that can stop them apart from themselves, to be honest.
Yeah, right now, yeah, exactly. Not much can stop them apart from themselves. They've become their biggest enemy at this point, and that's pretty much the case for any player whenever you actually play onto cup mode, because as we've said, once you reach final status, you have to win it, and sometimes this is where players tend to get real shaky, and where we do see a lot of struggle for player to conclude. And yeah, the fear of winning, that's what we actually refer to it as in French, la peur de gagner, the fear of winning, can sometimes mess up a player pretty badly, to the point where he does not only get demoted to second, but perhaps even get demoted to third, which means elimination in that case, in terms of like if you're in a lower bracket match, for instance. But right now, we're not talking about that. We're still in the winner bracket. We're talking about direct tickets to Vilnius, and right now, the prime position shots are going to be for Hollow and Epos with 82 and 81 respectively. Currently, it's going to be the position of the chaser for the current leader. That is going to be Epos, sitting in second, about a 10th away from Hollow, who tries to pull a little bit of a gap on the Englishman from Team Blue Jays, going through that long left-hander where we saw, I think it was Bosbez carrying a lot of speed, but then getting a little bit out of shape when it comes to the placement for that reactor grass spot, where he goes from one banking to flat, then back to another banking, where he can unsettle the car a little bit easily. And now onto the final corner, going for the risky fin. It will be Hollow just holding through and through to the lead, and thus taking the 10-pointer for himself, and thus yoinking the lead back from Epos, 91 to 88 at the end of that particular one. Johan Clan in third, and Henkan in P4.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good as well. It seems that Hollow and Epos do prefer this track a lot more as well. And of course, with the point repetition being 10, 6, 4, and 3, those first positions at least allow you to quickly catch back up to a round that maybe didn't go so well, especially for Epos and Hollow, who can take a lot of advantage of that, as Hollow is the one to just pixel clip the wall, and Epos to absolutely demolish the wall. And Johan Clan and Henkan are the ones to actually enjoy a bit of a lead that they are maybe not so used to, but Hollow is definitely already on their tail and already right next to Henkan, who, as he's trying to overtake him, and does so indeed. So you can see the difference when a player wants to push and when a player is trying to survive. So you can see Hollow is really trying to pulling the gap as well, trying to go for the most optimal lines. Very nice drift here. He will have more speed than Johan Glenn. Will go for the more better line and will overtake, but just twists it a bit too much. Has to go for the safe finish. Does he get in front of Epos? Doesn't even get in front of Epos in the end. The British man gets 1 point over the Frenchman, but Johan Glenn gets first, Henken is second. So at least, you know, a bit more points in the back end.
Talk about a double blowback from Holo after clawing back so much time. He was in with the shot of actually finishing in the lead despite having a bit of a sluggish start with that pixel clip that he executes again here at the start of that particular round, but just a little bit too wide at the final corner, grazes the wall, and more than grazes, hits the wall on the outside, and that demotes him from first to last in the space of 5 to 7 seconds. It goes by so quick that it's so painful for the Frenchman, and that allows Epos to still be within about 2 points of the lead at the present moment, although we do see Holo mounting a comeback and trying to salvage a few more points here and there, although he will be seeing Epos retake the lead as things stand with a 4/10 lead in favor of the Englishman from Team Blue Jays. Johan Klan and Henkan trading places, or more likely Henkan having made a mistake and thus will be relegated back down to P4. Let's see how it goes for the leaders. Right now, Holo, having learned the lesson, will not be going as wide as he did in the previous round, and in the meantime, Epos takes the 10-pointer for himself. 6 points still for Holo, who passes the 100-point mark. He heads into the triple digits, but will also pass the 100-point mark for Epos with 102, and thus takes the lead.
These both players on triple digits. Henken on 69, being very nice indeed, and Johan Klan getting on 65. Still a potential to also secure a 69 of his own. But regardless of that point shenanigans, it is a race between these two. Yeah, Holo and Epos at the moment. There's really not much to separate the two, apart from the wall hits that they occasionally do, like Holo. Thank you for demonstrating it conveniently as well. Johan Glenn is now in third and Henken second, and Epos enjoys a bit of fresh air, a bit of breathing room. Hopefully he doesn't have a bit of a fall towards the end, but I assume at least, from I keep saying this at least, that it's something that a lot of times I've seen in other competitions as well, but players just forget to check the splits and sort of get stuck in their own bubble, push unnecessarily, and then make the most, unironically, the most easiest mistake of their lives to lose away the points. But Epos is not one of them, at least for the time being. Holo even overtakes Johan Klan in the end to secure 1 extra point, just 1 extra point, to deny Johan Klan his 69. So, you know, it's one of those days, I guess, for Johan Klan. It's one of those days. He can't even get a 69-point score just to cheer him up a bit, maybe have a good laugh behind the computer.
Yeah, right now we're going to be heading, though, onto the final map of the rotation, a map that Epos was probably involuntarily preparing himself for with the clip that we saw on Wild Child a little bit earlier on in the match. But we're heading to the Baltic Flip from Vixa. And yeah, just as a quick score recap, 112 to Epos, who can close it out on this map. Same for Holo on 104. They can go for finalists and then straight up win their finalist round. Henkan on 75 is, I mean, to be fair, that's still some pretty solid going for the man from Pivo. And Johan Klan managing to claw that gap back to Henkan down to just a mere 7 points, currently sitting in P4 at 68. But yeah, now it's going to be more a case of, okay, maybe it's going to be a little bit of a stretch and we should maybe try to focus more on trying to do a good showing to tail off day one nicely before heading into day two in the lower bracket.
Yeah, that is something that they might have to look towards as well, but I always love to say that, recently at least, I've started to say that the ice is the great equalizer. It can throw off the most professional players, and it can give wins to the people that you least expect it to as well. So ice can always be a bit of a cruel mistress in that regard, because a lot of this track relies on your entry and the speed you go into the ice sections, because especially towards the end, if you can get a lot of speed in the end, you can just flick past somebody and get the win instead of a second, or instead of getting second position. So it can be quite a detriment to some players, but we'll see if Henken and Johan can maybe take advantage of the ice, or will Epos and Holo take full advantage for now. At least for now, they are taking a quick help, nobody having a bit of a fumble. It is Epos who's to take the early lead. Everybody makes the section, nothing too fancy. Henken is the one to give us the best perspective of everybody in front if we want to have a good hammer review, but he does get a bit of an inside clip on the turn. So we go back to Holo, who's tracing the Johan Klan and Epos up in front. We go into the ice section here, very nice swings about. Holo gets a nice flick, doesn't quite catch it as well as he could. But everybody's still fighting. Nothing here to separate all three. But the clip is the one to separate Johan Blood from the top two.
Yeah, indeed. That was an unfortunate clip from Johan Klan towards the very end of the second sector, and Holo will take it to the opportunity to move up into second place. Actually goes a little bit faster than Epos into the last flick, but it ends up being too little too late for the man from Athletic, who's forced to concede that first round win to Epos with a 59.008. Being driven for our first foray here onto the Baltic Flick for this match. Just as a quick reminder, we've witnessed an insane time from Struffs with a 58.2 being driven during the time attack. Actually, two players on 58.2s, those being Struffs and Panda. But yeah, 59.0 is not that bad, although we will likely see some set 59s, maybe some 58.9s, 0.8s that could also be considered to be very, very competitive times at this point in time here on the match. In the meantime, we do see finalist status for Epos, but this time it will be Holo having a little bit more of an easier start, let's say that. Let's hope that he's able to capitalize on that, but now this is where he lost a lot of time there, where he went a little bit too wide at the exit. At the flick, this time manages to get it reined in perfectly, whilst he was close to pulling a Coco, as I like to call it, at this point, where he touched on the outside by going a little bit too wide. So far, the man from Atletec continues to hold a steadfast lead of about a 10.5 compared to Epos, and this is looking like a double finalist round unless there is a blunder at the ending. Holo gets the flick, and we are heading into a double finalist situation between these two, and a 58.4. My god, Holo, that is a stout time, sir. Very, very stout time. Johan and Henkan in third and fourth, but at this point, the star of the show is just the man from Atletec, who moves on to a double finalist.
Yeah, 0.495. That is a very nice time, especially considering for rounds. You know, you would be happy with that in time attack, even, to be honest. But to do it in rounds, that is a very good statement. Right as we are going into the double finalist mode, Epos probably sees the time, is like, damn, that man is fast. But maybe I can be faster, because at the moment he is currently neck and neck with Holo at the moment. Holo again takes the early lead. He just goes for every single corner in the most optimal way, and you can see how much of a difference it can make. Just going a bit tighter, just going a bit more riskier can lead to so much good times at the moment. But it seems that Holo is the one to take the helm for now, and it's a similar picture for Epos from the previous round as well. Ooh, Holo has a bit of a fumbly line. It will allow Epos to come in with a lot more speed, and Holo goes a bit too close to the wall, and we might be seeing the British man, after trials and tribulations, unless something goes wrong in the end, he will be going in, getting first position, and securing the ticket towards the Comic-Con LAN as well. The offline event awaits you, Epos. We will be seeing you in approximately 3 weeks. And we'll see if Holo or maybe somebody else will be joining when we get there.
Yeah, luckily for Epos, he had a lot more luck. Well, he had a luck on his side compared to Bozbez when it comes to descending on the Baltic Flick, because just to cast your mind back a few moments ago when we watched Coco and Bozbez duke it out, Boz had 2 back-to-back fails on that particular ending. One which was a very weird slowdown, we gotta say, and the other one he went a little bit too far off to the right-hand side and bumped onto the side wall that started to mark the start of the ending area. But in the meantime, ahead it will be Holo having a sizable lead over Johan Klan and enjoying a pretty nice buffer, actually, of almost half a second, maybe even more than that. Well, close to half a second, 48 hundredths of a second, as a matter of fact. In the meantime, we go back to the perspective of a Frenchman who's going to be bagging his spot to Vilnius, more likely heading into the final corner before heading into the final flick. Will he get this right? Yes, the answer is a big yes, and congratulations to Holo. You have bagged your spot into the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 offline finals at the Lit Expo Congress Center in Vilnius. See you on May 24th through to 26th.
Yeah, that was a very good match indeed at the moment. So yeah, all of the things are going well, at least for that as well. Now, that is a GG for them. Now, we get a bit of a time to actually check out what the other matches are going as well. We already had one queued up as well, because we want to see our fellow Baltic man get through as well. And it is Dvinho as well, so it will be match number 8, I believe, that we will be jumping into as well. And looking at the score, I mean, Panda is doing Panda things, that's for sure.
Yeah, but let me just show you the game scene that we are in right now. Now you'll be able to see the score. 116 for Panda, but look at the battle for second place between SpeedSelf and Vinyo. SpeedSelf, the landman, as we've come to colloquially name him, just attending every single event that he wants to play. Just I guess it's our French version of Tween, in the sense that Tween is also a very determined player and likes to compete. He's there for the love of competing, essentially, even though he's a very good player. And SpeedSelf is pretty much the same thing, but pulled up to 11. He tries to attend almost as many LANs as he can, attend as many tournaments as he can, and yeah, it's super nice to see that name crop up, of course, every single time. The man from Esport Line currently chasing Panda, trying to grab a few more points for himself to try and safeguard himself from Dvinho at the moment, currently sitting in third place in the standings and in the round. 66 points for the Latvian player, but in the meantime, it's a French duet with Panda just continuing to pull away at a decent rate of knots compared to SpeedSelf, about 0.3 of a second ahead of the man from Esport Line. It will be a time of 53.096 for Panda, finishing 0.3 ahead of SpeedSelf. Vinyo finishes in third, and Name Unknown will be finishing in P4.
Yep, it will be a pretty comfortable way for Panda to go. I mean, he has literally 5 chances before anybody else gets even into finalist mode to secure this. I mean, it should be pretty much clear-cut as well. And from what we've seen from Panda as well, when he's in the zone, he's probably one of the most hardest people to dethrone as well, because he just starts banging in times that you don't even think should be possible to do consistently as well. So that's the one thing I've seen when I've always watched Panda is like when he gets into the mojo, it's pretty hard. But everybody else is not in the mojo at the moment. Vinyo also having a bit of a rough time. SpeedSelf made an early mistake, but he made it early enough that he can just catch up to Vinyo, overtake, and it seems that Vinyo is not really enjoying a good time at the moment, at least not on venue. Unironically, also built by a Latvian, so maybe Latvian maps do not also fit a Latvians. But hey, Panda gets it done with a 52.8 as well. Nothing really complicated for him. It's another day in the office, and that is a very fast rounds time as well to close it off. So GG, he bags the ticket. But now the actual match starts between SpeedSelf and Dvinho and Name Unknown, who we haven't even talked about, but who knows, maybe he has some unknown skills on other maps we haven't even seen yet. But SpeedSelf and Dvinho are the ones to fight for that second position.
Yeah, just as a quick,
see who will actually get it.
Just as a quick side note, Panda's 50 time from the previous round that we tried to recollect, it was a 52.851. That would have been enough for top 7 or top 8 overall on the online leaderboards if it was his first time driving the map. So that just goes to show how fast that time really was from Panda. But now that the Scarecrow is effectively away and the points hog has effectively left the building, it's going to be where the real match starts, as you said, between Vinyo and SpeedSelf. Right now, it's going to be the Frenchman chasing the Latvian with about 1/10 of a second in favor of the man from Molotov at the moment. We're going to be heading into the final corner. Dvinho going a little bit wider, managing to get a late apex towards the final part of that... the final part of that right-hander before the jump. I got startled by the peep. The peep got me. And yeah, Dvinho 10 points compared to 6 points for SpeedSelf. We're back down to just below 10 points of a deficit for the man from Molotov. And this is where it's going to get spicy, especially as we're going to be heading into a map that isn't exactly for the faint of heart. It's going to be Rockets Musha.
Yeah, so clearly somebody invested heavily in metal pipes. So much so that they are able to just on will call upon one of them dropping on the ground as well. That's I mean, that does fit that track as well, because you definitely do not want to hit the pole in the end. Imagine you've done the entire track and then you just lose it towards hitting towards the pole in the end on venue. But we are on Musha, and there's a lot more things to hit. There's literally, well, maybe they are not metal pipes, but they are neon pipes and lights everywhere that are able to be hit. So hopefully they don't drop their metal pipes when they do get close to those. But for the time being, this track will be an interesting case to see, because it is something that I've played against Dvinho and a lot of times in the Baltic events as well. And from my experience, Dvinho a lot of times gets in his own head. His mentality can go from 100 to 0 really quick if it doesn't go his way. and it can be quite a detriment for him. But we'll see if he can hold on, because I think it would be very nice for him to get through the upper brackets and not having to go to the lower brackets. But either way, both these players deserve it. We'll see who has the mental fortitude to get it till the end, because Musha awaits us, and it's not a very easy track to get points on. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be one of the more could be a real toss-up. We could see like players just making it through cleanly all 4 rounds, or we could see basically everybody just having a monumental moment at one point or another during the rounds. But so far, for the top 2, it's looking pretty solid. It's only Name Unknown who has dropped quite a bit of pace as a result of this, dropping down 1.5 seconds behind the leader, which is currently Dvinho, the man from Molotov, having had a solid start of the round, currently trying to pull a gap on Speedself, about a quarter of a second ahead of the Frenchman right now, heading into the final sector with the drop down the plastic, heading into that banked 90 degree, well, I say 90 degrees, so a long left-hander. And we're heading through to the jump into the finish. It will be Dvinho taking the early 10-pointer here on our first round of Musha with a 55.258, 2/10 clear of Speedself. And Speedself just sees the menace continuing to grow bigger and bigger in his mirrors. 95-90, just 5 points of a deficit, and we're getting close to the triple-digit territory there.
Yeah, we are getting closer to the triple digits. In the meanwhile as well, give an update on a match that was ongoing while this match as well. Mime and Whoop were the ones to go through from match number 5, with Nick Sobi being the third. And I believe, looking at the point scores, Whoop and Nick Sobi were both finalists. So came down to one of those rounds. Cervantes with 85 points, so the Lithuanian will go in the lower bracket with Nick Sobi. So interesting results already coming through as well. So there, if my memory serves me right, there are only 2 matches ongoing, and those are the staggered matches of 7 and 8, which we are watching, and the other one is still underway. Maybe we'll get some updates on that as well. But Dvinho and Speedself fighting for that first and second position. They need those points, and Dvinho would love to get these 10 points. That would make that 5 into only 1. But Speedself coming with more speed, but that is not enough on the plastic. Just there. Good round times by Dvinho, consistent, 55.25 and 55.3. That is what you love to see when you are in this position, especially getting to the closer stages of getting to that points limit.
Might be a little bit of a close call at the ending there for Dvinho, with that clip from the left rear sending the car in a spin, but thankfully it happened after he got the finish trigger, so still the 10-pointer going the way of the Latvian, and we're down to a singular point separating the top 2 provisionally. The top 2-3, I guess we could say, in this match, since Panda has already won that match. But right now, it's well likely Speedself looking to be a little bit more on the back foot compared to Dvinho. Dvinho managing to pull some really consistent rounds and some pretty solid pace with that consistency to boot. And Speedself taking it a little bit more easy. Oh my god, Dvinho, a bit more of a heart rate racing there. Manages to keep his gap somewhat intact. Does lose a few hundredths there, but yeah, Dvinho might have just gotten a 3 warning. Just a quick slap on the fingers there with the ruler in terms of equivalency, but he goes really slow at the exit of the plastic, allowing Speedself to take the lead this time around. This time, the Latvian gets properly punished, and thus it will be 111 for Speedself versus 106 for Dvinho. Yes, he does get the trigger by running across the finish line, along the finish line at a bit of a diagonal angle, but yeah, Dvinho got away with it once, but not for the second time. The track was like, hold on. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You know the saying.
Yeah, I know the saying, where we're going. I was thinking more on the lines of Trackmania giveth, Trackmania taketh. It gave him an opportunity, because I thought he was going to die from that one, because that is much a remarkable recovery to even survive after such a clip. But Trackmania was like, I gave you an opportunity, you fumbled it. You cannot blame me. So Dvinho can hopefully get this time away from that hole. Keeps his distance, very good. So no fumblings this time, but it allows for, well, Speedself is also a fair bit behind. So Dvinho should at least be able to at least somewhat see. Hopefully he does check that he does have over a second, but that is no more than a second. That's Speedself overtaking now. Oh, Dvinho, this is the part where I said that Dvinho is not gonna like this, and even Unknown is gonna overtake him, which means that Dvinho will get 4 points anyway. I was about to do some math that maybe he will be on 109, but that is not a round where you want to concede, because your opponent is now in finalist mode, and the only way you can deny is by winning twice in a row. And I believe we are actually gonna switch the maps as well.
Yeah, I think that's That's what I was figuring. I think we were on the final rotation of that. That was actually a solid map in the first 2 rounds for Dvinho, where he had a solid opportunity. We're finishing on the Melo. It looks like we're going to be heading onto a Whiskey map for the decider, quote-unquote, as Speedself isn't in finalist status. Dvinho is just 1 round win away from that set finalist status, and name unknown with 62 points, and the pace that he's shown is definitely not going to be an impact. It's going to be all eyes on Dvinho now to try and see if one of the players from the Baltic region is able to get his spot outright in Vilnius here on this match.
Yeah, we'll have to see, and also a good timing as well. You know, as people are enjoying a bit of a preview of the track as well. We've seen these multiple times. Also, shout out to Whiskey. Unironically, you know, Whiskey is the one who made these previews as well. So well done to him as well. So all of these videos very much given by him, and he gets also more screen time by having a map in the competition. Really double dipping in the Comic-Con Baltics. But regardless, it will be the track to decide the fate of Speedself and Dvinho, and also the other track match number 7 is concluded as well. Paco is first, he is second. So they secure their spot in the Comic-Con LAN Baltics LAN already, with Vanity and Kratis enjoying the lower bracket for tomorrow. But we might be getting 1 more round out of this, or 2, or who knows, even more. Maybe name unknown is the prodigy that has eluded us until now, and he will now pop off on this track. But we'll see. It's all in the eyes of Dvinho if he can actually make a detriment, or will Speedself ruin the dreams of the Latvian as we go on to this round. So I'll give it to you for now, Geek. I really would like a sip of water.
yeah, don't worry. I'll take the anchor. I took a sip of water beforehand, but just as a quick side note, someone requested our PBs. 51.4 for Dvinho versus a 51.9, if I read the times correctly, for Speedself. So theoretical pace advantage going to Dvinho, but as we said, having the ultimate pace is one thing, but having it in rounds is quite another, and Dvinho just completely threw it in the bin, having done the pinball machine on the grass road, taking the bit of a bump on the inside, and ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to wait for a little bit to see another Baltic man make it through as the pipe resonates, as Speedself crosses the finish line. The landman from eSportline gets to attend Milan in yet another country after having visited, of course, Germany with the Trackmania and XP Evo. He's going to be set off to Vilnius in 3 weeks' time for the Comic-Con Baltics offline finals.
So basically what tomorrow is, all eyes on every single Lithuanian and Latvian to see who will go through tomorrow. Hey, still a well job by Speedself, you know, consistency matters, and it seems that Dvinho got a bit to his head. Maybe he got hit by one of the pipes that Speedself left on the track. Could be very possible. We might have to look into that.
No,
Ken,
it's not.
you might have to look into if there were any pipes left by Speedself.
No,
This is not Mario Kart. This is Trackmania.
It's not a pipe left on the track. It reminds me of a Chico from another racing game, Viper Racing. Where basically, you hit the horn and you shoot you could hit the horn and shoot a fireball in one of the cheats, and if it hit another car, it damages the other car. That's what happened there. So yeah, but
I don't know. Might have to look into that. I don't know about that, but
race review. In the meantime, big props. All jokes aside, big props, of course, to Panda, who basically just walked away with the win on this one, and big props to Speedself as well. I mean, it's always nice to see that name pop up, and also nice to see him at LAN. It's probably one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet at LAN. I give my personal guarantee on it. He's always been super sweet, super nice. And yeah, for Dvinho and the name unknown, it's going to be down to the lower bracket. And of course, on the other match, we saw, well, Pussy Topako and Key managing to validate their spots, and it was a pretty clear-cut victory, it turns out, for Pussy Topako and for Key as well, whilst Vanity was the nearest one on 3rd place with 70 points collected at the end of that match. A 50-point gap. That's quite staggering.
Yeah, it does end up being one of those cases like there's certain players, like I always envision in my mindset that do rely on a bit of the momentum. Dvinho is definitely one of them as well. I believe Vanity falls in that category. There's a lot of players that really thrive on that momentum. If they can get going, there's not really much that can stop them as well. And so there's a fair few of those players as well. But we see already a lot of players going through. We already have 16 out of the 24 decided. we can quickly go over as well. I don't know if you have a graphic for us to maybe just quickly go over the results of today.
I think
I'm maybe asking a bit too much.
I think I can go quickly over the results. Well, we can go over the results for the upper brackets things that we saw. So of course we went in a little bit midway through match 1, but Stutz and Vinch having taken the win, with Tarp War coming in as a really hot contender that could have been very spicy to see the Dutchman pipping the Frenchman away from that place in Vilnius. On match 2, we had Wizzy and Jan first and second, and here was kind of like the same scenario as what we seen with Paco and Key, which was pretty much clear-cut for the top 2. Koyo was the nearest one with 72 points at the end. Match 3 was Binks and Snow validating their ticket, with Mareintje passing the triple digits mark with 103, so respectable performance from the Dutchman. Then on match number 4, which was the one that we casted, so it was Bosbez and Coco with the resurgent Rotrex, who scored 105. So yeah, as we said, we were looking forward to see what he can cook up in the lower bracket, the Frenchman from Team P will looks like. Then we got match number 5, Mime and Whoop having validated first and second, and it was Whoop at the end of a double finalist round with just 16 milliseconds of a gap, according to Nick Solby, that they managed to actually go through for Nude Esports. So yeah, I saw Nick Solby pop up in the chat. I hope you're not too disheartened, because there's still the lower bracket left to go, and I reckon you still got a shot at this, buddy. So yeah, there we go. And of course, exclamation mark bracket in the chat if you want to check the bracket for yourself. Match 6, we had Epos and Holo. This was the one casted, of course, with Epos and Holo finishing in that order. Holo having had some troubled moments and relinquishing the top seat, well, the first place to Epos after a bit of a wall-hugging moment, I gotta say. Of course, Henkan and Johan Klan in 3rd and 4th with 89 and 87. Pretty close contest between these two, actually. Then match number 7, we already alluded to Pusti Paco and Key, 1st and 2nd. And then, of course, match 8, which you saw the end of, Honda and Speedcell. So already got 16 names confirmed. And I guess it's just 8 more names to go. And for that, there's going to be one big day tomorrow.
Yep, and I've already noted down in my book as well who those people are. So I've already gone through all of the matches, and I have a list of 8 people that will be joining the rest of the 16 as well. So hopefully my prediction will go right. I will flash them up on the screen right now. You probably can read them, so there you go. Either way, but I'm looking forward to it. There's some names that I think will have a bit of an easy time tomorrow. They shouldn't be really struggling to get shouldn't have that much of a struggle to get through, but some others there could be there. You have Johan Khan and Henkan that look pretty decent, but maybe some seeding or match orders maybe playing into their will as well. So but there's some 4 players that I think will probably go through, definitely go through, and there's 4 that I might be like, maybe, who knows, maybe goes if ifs and buts happen. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to tomorrow, because that is where it's do or die basically tomorrow. There's no second chances there.
Yep, it's good. There's gonna be no safety net anymore. If you mess up, you are out. Well, if you are out, you're still gonna be coming home with a few points for the Trackmania World Tour ranking, which is still gonna be helping your cause if you want to actually have a shot potentially the top 32 if you combine it with other results. Of course, this being the first major in Trackmania, there's a lot of points up at stake, but being in that top 32 not only means you get to land, you also get to maximize your chances of actually making a big breakthrough in the overall ranking, because up to 2,000 Trackmania World Tour points for the winner. This is the biggest amount that's available in the circuit, full stop, and everybody's going to jump at the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah, that is what people want to. If you can get those points on the board, you're sitting quite nice at the top of the leaderboard, basically, whoever wins this event. So, this is not just just a white arrive and, I have a LAN event. Pretty cool still, everybody who still hasn't gotten a ticket, if they are still available, I haven't checked myself, but of course, if they are available, get them. It will be a good event as well in 3 weeks' time. Get your calendars ready, because, of course, tomorrow 8 people will be joining them as well. And, for some people, it will be a few more World Tour points. For others, it will be a ticket to Vilnius. So unless you have something else to add to that, I don't know. I'm waiting for tomorrow only. Well, I can't probably sleep even.
I think we're both waiting for tomorrow, and not only will they join everybody that's been invited, they'll also be joining us, as we're going to be there to cover the whole thing on site, and that's going to be something that's very exciting. Trip to Lithuania, everybody, who's in? Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for tuning in to day 1 of the Comic-Con Baltics 2024 Trackmania Tournament Open Qualifier. The action resumes back tomorrow at around 15:45 Central European Summer Time, 16:45 Eastern European Summer Time, if I am not mistaken, if my time zones are correct. Anyways, you'll be able to find all of the action live, of course, here on this channel, here on FastPoint.gg, as well as on the Comic-Con Baltics channel, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, make sure to follow the different social channels for myself, Khedi, Turbo, and SRK, which you've been able to see over the course of the stream. And as for ourselves, we're gonna kick it and we're gonna send us off for tonight. I'm gonna have some dinner because I'm starving and I'm starting to get a little bit thirsty, but yeah, we're gonna replenish for tomorrow. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Much love, be kind, stay safe, and see you tomorrow. Godspeed, people.
Bye-bye.